Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. It's great to have you back for possibly the only stream of the week. Just with my night shifts this week, and the pattern that I've got results in only 2 full days off. So some intense recovery left. 1 day off left tomorrow, which I've got a list of things to do, sadly, which means no streamies. But I hope you're well, hope you've had a good week so far. Today we are at Manchester Airport, Mako Simulations Manchester Airport, as you guys can see. And we've got the fantastic iniBuilds A300-600. The R variant, R meaning range, because this one could fly further than the other A300s at the time. And we're off to Corfu, flying Tampa's Corfu, a regular route that we've done quite a few times on the channel now over the last couple of years. It's a good little favourite, and it's because it's got a tricky approach, usually resulting in a VOR based arrival or a VOR based approach, and some manual flying required, but if not, then we're looking at RMP approaches, so neither of which we have done in the A300. So we're going to dive in today to Corfu using one of those, working through how to do it basically, and trying to learn as we fly. So I hope you're well. If you're new to the channel, warm welcome on board. Hit like and subscribe. And those of you old enough to remember, there she is, Monarch, in the old school battle kind of or bumblebee sort of livery that they had back in the day when the A300s were in fact flying around. They were painted in that beautiful paint scheme there. And that's Zato. Done a little bit of model matching magic, a bit of tweaking to get that to show today, so looking really good there. And here is our very own Osprey Airways A300 in the modern paint scheme with a lot of dirt all over it, in fact. So looking forward to this. It's going to be a good flight, and don't forget, throughout the journey today, keep hitting that like button. Let's dive into the flight deck so we get some of this external airport noise drowned away or dissipated. David, good afternoon. Zato, welcome. Living on a Player. Chris as well. Great to see you guys, and everyone else in the live chat. Hope you're well. And we've done a lot of the pre-flight already. So the last load of streams, we've started cold and dark, and we've gone through each step required. I've already done the weight and balance here, and I've looked at our performance. Look at that QNH, folks. Look how high the pressure is over Manchester at the moment. 1040 hectopascals. Really, really high pressure, which means that good old rule of high to low, down you go is actually quite different today, because when we go to standard pressure, look what happens to the altitude. So we're showing at the minute QNH 1040, 260 feet. Look at that altitude drop. So at 5,000 feet QNH 1040, we're probably nearer to 7,000 feet. Look at that. Go back all the way up, winding it up back to QNH 1040. Madness. Very high pressure compared to last week when we had that super low pressure over the UK, battering us with winds and intense rain, resulting in floods and all the rest of it. And now it's gone the opposite. We've got very high pressure, but that is giving us beautifully crisp mornings and rather frosty days as well, to be fair. So all the overhead panels done, pitch trim, yaw damper, ATSs are all on. We've got the IRS aligned, we've got the nav lights on, seatbelt signs and no smoking signs are on. I'll pop that on manually like so. So we've done a lot of the pre-flight prep. All we need to do now is commit to our departure routing with ATC. So the most annoying click spot in the bloody world, that. I wish they'd change that and sort that out. That's it's only a small thing, isn't it? But one little thing like that can actually be so insanely frustrating. Rightio. Manchester Atis is Juliet. QNH 1040. My goodness, and we're expecting 05 left for departure today in the Desi 1 Sierra Sid. Zato, I know, I saw.
Push to start approved facing south. Push start approved facing south, Martin Air 4971.
LH 155 and question taxi.
FedEx 155. Roger.
Just waiting for a natural gap here.
Runway 05 left via Echo.
Morgan, welcome. Hope you're having a good week as well. Happy New Year. Look, surprisingly, it's still a popular route.
Ryanair 55, taxi holding point Alpha 1.
787 fan, welcome, new to the stream. Planning on getting the Airbus A300 soon. It's very good. We'll go through loads in a minute as well. We are full. Manchester ground, good afternoon. Osprey 116 Alpha on stand 29. Airbus A300-600 with Juliet QNH 1040. Request clearance to Corfu, please.
Osprey 116 Alpha, Manchester ground, hello. You are cleared to Leonidas Gabriel. Fuck me.
Corfu will be fine.
Sorry, mate. You are cleared to Greece, to your destination via the Desic 1 Sierra departure, Squawk 7743.
Cleared to Corfu, Desi 1 Sierra departure, Squawk 7743, Osprey 116 Alpha.
No, you're not allowed. You did this the other day. Don't do it.
Oh. Oh.
Manchester ground, FedEx 135, requesting push and start.
7743.
FedEx 135, we'll just hold your position, waiting for the MD-11 to finish his push.
We'll wait for the MD-11 on stand 69, FedEx 135.
Good afternoon, Manchester ground, Z180, stand 11.
7743.
Airbus 321, pushing out buttons to
Well, that was an experience. 11863 for the next.
798, Takeoff, located 0 left, correction 05 left.
I did dock, but thankfully I'm on standby.
Ryanair 68 Kilo Delta, request bar clearance to port. I have information Juliet, 75738
Love it.
at stand 51.
Sorry, standby.
Let's get the APU on. I think next time we need to pick an even more difficult airport to pronounce.
Lufthansa 5 Foxtrot, contact Manchester Tower now 118.
14 months, juicy. Look at that, love that custom view. And check out our snazzy cabin. Woo-wee! Look at that, we've got safety demonstrations, got QR code there, with our in-flight magazine called Soar, exclusive to the Osprey. Oh! Forgot we were near the door. Welcome. Look at that. Snazzy.
Roger.
Vatsim's best virtual airline. Hey, Delta Tango as well, 14 months.
You need taxi into the stand, correct?
Yeah, have you scanned that QR code?
Request freight, for the rail flight.
Let's pop the probes on as well, just do it now.
53 via Juliet.
And the last passenger is now boarded.
Can you request freight?
APU Vale, lead on.
Roger, you can take stand 48.
Yes, I am, yes.
Juliet Golf freight.
External power off. Ground equipment, toggle ground power units.
Good afternoon, version 127 Charlotte.
Let's get our departure in. Just realised we've got to be pushing in 5 minutes. Sid.
Max to ground.
05 left. Desi 1 Sierra. Insert. So, charts. Let's get them on your screens. It's that. Just a straight out departure to Desi up to 5,000 feet. Really nice. Happy days. QNH there. Oh, sorry, a VOR of 11355 for Manchester. That's fine. No turns below 760. And that's because you can see there if we zoom in, we've actually got to fly runway heading a little bit, and at 760 feet, we kind of just do a little kink to the right to intercept the outbound radial of 051 from the Manchester VOR. And that should be that line there, which is rather nice. We can have a little look there. We've got no discontinuities. That's the line there on the nav display to compare against the one on the charts. And then we have our little route all the way down to Corfu. 3 and a bit hours. That's all done in an A and B takeoff page then. So on the performance tab here, let's hide the charts. There's all of our takeoff data. We've done all of that. Air conditioning can be on, anti-ice off, and we've got 161, 167, 168.
Monarch 83 Papa, Roger, sir, my apologies.
167, and then 168 set on the FCU. We preset 245 with the altitude set to 5,000. Runway heading of 051 needs to be set.
Clear by Desi 1 Sierra Squawk 6461 Monarch 83 Papa.
So we will set that. And what are we? 260.
Charlie, Boeing 747 200 1207 information kilo, FR clear JFK.
Previous station stands by Monarch 83 Papa.
Done.
Read that correct.
Alrighty. Cost index of 100, so it should give us a cruise of Mach decimal 80. Ionos Capodistria. Let me find it. Ionos Capodistrias in Kirkira, or Kirkira, Greece. Ionos Capodistrias, Kirkira. That's my attempt anyway. How's that?
5528 A300-600 at stand 202. Information Juliet 2NH1040 requesting our clearance to Corfu.
It is busy.
Hold on a second, guys. You're all calling in very quickly. Just trying to deal with a lot of things at the moment. If you could just hold up for a moment, I'll call you up. FedEx 135, stand 70, push and start approved, facing south.
Push start approved, face south, base 125.
Osprey 117 Alpha, request push and start.
Osprey 117 Alpha, stand 06, push and start approved, facing south.
Facing south, Kilo.
And Osprey 116 Alpha, fully ready, request push start please.
Osprey 116 Alpha, push and start approved, facing south.
Push start approved, face south, Osprey 116 Alpha. So hopefully that will take a little bit of pressure off
4971, monitor
off him. For left full cabin not closed.
We are ready for pushback.
Oh. Better close that door.
Set for Martin Air 4971.
Martin Air 4971, yes sir.
Boeing 787 fan, no it can do long calls, but it depends on the range. The 600R is kind of the extended range version of the A300. Arm all the doors. They've all gone red. Jolly good. Yeah, Doc's saying in real life they're using anti-ice.
EV 180, Roger sir, what band are you on?
Stand 11.
De-icing Goose.
EV 180, Roger sir, you're cleared to Amsterdam via the desk.
I didn't realise all of the de-icer areas in Manchester are all named after Top Gun.
Where's that? Amsterdam on 50 departure, squawk 560.
Crikey, she's slow. Or he's slow. Good job we've got no one behind us. There's a FedEx over there. Right, look at the dirt on the aircraft. Tapzi's done a great job of making that look very lifelike. Yeah, beacon is on, that's all good, that's all set. Popped. Ignition mode, eh? And faced east.
Release parking brakes, please.
I'll break off.
Commencing push.
So, Doc, in real life, are they using de-icing at Goose near the hold point for Juliet? Well, actually, no, they're not going that way, are they? There's no other de-icing areas. Well, de-icing Iceman.
Runway 35 Golf, flap 10 has been refiled.
Okay, so I found Iceman. It's at the bottom. Bravo. I don't know if that would be in a in the configuration of GSX here.
Oh,
I might put
guys, my apologies.
anti-ice on. 320.
Not waiting for pushing back.
Pause the music so we can hear them CF6s start.
Anyone waiting for taxi instructions?
Hey, FedEx 135, ready for taxi.
FedEx 135, roger, taxi, holding point, Echo 3 for me please.
Holding point Echo 3.
Let's keep it going because we've got one behind, so we'll keep the engine start going. Start one.
Ground, hello, Monarch 5528 at stand 202, aircraft type A300.
Obs Aviation, welcome.
Requesting IFR clearance to Corfu, QNH 1040.
Monarch 5528, Manchester ground, hello. You are cleared to Greece via the Desig 1 Sierra departure, squawk 7501.
That noise.
Clear to Greece via Desig
Is it
1
that
Sierra
one there is
departure,
de-icing
squawk
Goose
7501
Iceman?
for Monarch 5528.
Monarch 5528, read back correct. Monarch 15 Papa, can you confirm your stand number please?
Please set parking brakes.
Stand 206, Monarch 15 Papa.
Roger, Monarch 15 Papa, you ready to copy your clearance?
Let's pop all of that on, just anti-ice for
You
now.
are cleared to Antalya via the Desig 1 Sierra departure, squawk.
Okay, overhead panel looks pretty good. That's all off, so engine starts continuous relight, APU bleed off, APU off.
Monarch 5528 is ready for push and start.
Unlocking gear.
Monarch 5528, roger sir, push and start approved.
So, after
Facing
start,
west.
Push and
ground
start approved,
spoilers
facing west, Monarch
armed, we
5528.
want a performance page for the trim, 00 up. Put a trim reset 0,
Disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
status normal,
Clear. Right is clear.
and flaps, slats 15 at 15, flex 58, landing elevation is set, and nav prof. Speed, -5 DH, flight directors are on, auto brake max. So, flight controls, all the way right,
And Manchester ground is anyway ready to push back.
back to neutral, all the way left,
EV180,
back to neutral, all the way rear,
Charlie please, 5660.
back to neutral, forwards, back to neutral, and rudder. Fully right, centre,
Osprey 117 Alpha, taxi holding point Alpha 1 via Lima, Papa, Bravo and Alpha. Taxi holding point Alpha 1 via Lima.
I wonder if they've got de-icing. No, it's not in the profile.
Ready to push back, Dizzy 180.
Oh well, we'll just run it without today.
Busy 180 after passing Boeing 737-9.
Radio.
Push to start approved facing south.
Warning recall.
Push and start approved, face us off after the 4767. Dizzy 180.
Surgeon 137 Charlie, ready push and start.
We just need our taxi instructions. So if without any icing, we're expecting Echo Delta, Alpha, hold Alpha 1.
07, push and start approved,
Station south version 127 Charlie.
Osprey 116 Alpha, request taxi.
Osprey 116 Alpha, taxi holding point Alpha 1 via Echo, Delta, Bravo and Alpha.
Taxi Open Alpha 1, 05 left fire, Echo, Delta, Bravo and Alpha, Osprey 116 Alpha. Look at that. Do you guys see that? Taxi lights on.
Standby. FedEx 135.
What I will do is just, I'll reset anti-ice on and see what it does. It's literally nothing. Flex goes to 55. So we'll just demand a bit more off the engines.
Holding point Alpha 1 via Echo.
Hello Daniel,
Delta,
welcome.
and Alpha, FedEx 135.
Look at that. Whoops, that's my Toby eye tracker button. It's going well today. So I'm just going to let the nose wheel creep over the line a little bit, just to keep the centre lines, the centre of the yellow line between the two main wheels. It's basically the aim of the game, and we're just taxiing on idle.
FedEx 1 Charlie, request push and start.
There's a bit of a knack to it when you're trying to do it in an external camera mode. It's a bit difficult, but hey ho. It's a cracking aeroplane, this, isn't it? Really, really neat. The Osprey's ahead of us, so we're probably going to have to hold. Morning, Andrew. So we'll give way to him. Little dab of the brakes. Quite sensitive at the minute, actually. Hey, Daniel, good stuff. How are you finding it?
1040 cresting IFR clearance to Edinburgh.
I put the wing lights on as well, just because of the issues in relation to icing at the moment.
Monarch 5528 is ready for taxi.
Temperatures outside 6 degrees Celsius. 360 sky vibes, no worries at all. We've had a lot of applications to Osprey Airways over the last couple of weeks. We've had a sudden burst of applications, which is really great.
Echo, Delta and Alpha, Monarch 5528.
Just put a little bit of brakes for the turn, bring that speed off, and then head round past the executive jet centre.
Osprey 117 Alpha, contact town now 118.630.
118.630, thank you.
Osprey 116 Alpha, contact town now 118.630.
Tower on 118.630, Osprey 116 Alpha. Thanks for the ATC, have a good day. Lovely jubbly. Is he over there, is he? Let's hold on, let me give him a little light show, Doc. What have we got? Runway turn off lights, there we go. Give him a little bit of an illuminated wave. For those with Mako Simulations Manchester, he is looking at creating a big update for his scenery at some point in the future to make it a little bit better. Manchester Tower, good afternoon. Osprey 116 Alpha is on Alpha for Alpha 1.
Osprey 116 Alpha, Manchester,
Crikey, I can hear what he said.
Have a good day, Osprey 117 Alpha, holding short Alpha 1.
Osprey 117 Alpha, Manchester Tower, good day, runway 05 left, clear takeoff, steps to 040 degrees, 10 knots.
Where are we at here? So that's all good, that's all set. QNH.
Clear takeoff, runway 05 left, Osprey 117
Pop those out the belly. What weather radar on? One less thing for us to worry about. And we need this settings bug ready so we can turn the rudder controls tiller to no for takeoff. And we are almost ready to go. Crikey, Andrew, that's very early.
MS Tower, g'day. FedEx 135 with you on Alpha.
FedEx 135, g'day Manchester Tower, you are number 3 for the market.
Number 3, FedEx 135.
Osprey 116 Alpha via Alpha 1, behind the departing company 737-900 on 05 left line of flight.
Behind the company traffic departing line up via Alpha 105 left behind Osprey 116 Alpha. He's rolling. So strobes. So lots of clicking there, rather frantic. And we begin our lineup whilst he is on the takeoff roll. And he's up.
Manchester Tower, Air Transit 792, established at 05.
Air Transit 792, Manchester Tower, g'day, reduced to minimum approach speed, you're number 1 to the right.
Copy that, Air Transit 792.
Okay, so we centre the nose wheel best as we can. Rudder controls tiller no. Let's get rid of that screen now for a minute. And we wait for clearance to take off, which is going to be imminent. So there's the windsock, or a windsock, to show us an indication of the winds. 10 knot headwind, 2 knot crosswind, so shouldn't be an issue.
Osprey 117 Alpha, no further ATC, monitor Unicom,
Okay,
122
here we go.
Monitor Unicom, thank you.
Get Unicom pre-tuned ready.
Manchester Tower, hello,
Final check below.
1552,
Happy with all of that.
Approaching Alpha 1.
Alex 5528, Manchester Tower, g'day,
Look at
number
that.
3.
Beautiful.
Number 3, 5528, thanks.
So, just going to put the engines to 40% because of icing to start to heat everything up. We should get takeoff clearance any second. Yeah, well, it's fantastic, isn't it? The Horizon 787. Looking for about 4 minutes separation, I believe.
Osprey 116 Alpha, number 05 left, clear takeoff, steps in 040 degrees, 10 knots.
Clear takeoff 05 left, Osprey 116 Alpha. So, brakes off, toga. Speed's alive. Power set. Tiny little bit of rudder, just to maintain that centre line. Through 80 knots, take the nose wheel pressure off. So we've centred the stick, put the yoke in a neutral position again. V1 at 161, which is quite fast.
Good afternoon, UB49 Quebec Kilo with you, fully established in the island, there 5 left, so we're at 162.
Rotate now.
849 Quebec Kilo, Manchester Tower, g'day.
V2.
Continue number 2, 49 Quebec Kilo.
Osprey 116 Alpha, no further ATC, monitor Unicom, 122 destination line.
Wilco Unicom for Osprey 116 Alpha, thanks to the ATC, g'day. Okay, flaps to 0, and away we go. Beautiful livery. Autopilot 1, engage. We're at acceleration altitude already, and we switch across to 1128. Let's pop the weather radar on. Instead of turbulence, we'll select weather. That noise through S, clean the jet up, slat 0. Climbing up, and we will continue towards 350, which is our cruising altitude of today for this flight. Runway turn-off lights. We'll leave them on continuous until we get out of the cloud here through icing conditions. Auto brake's already off, and the gear lever can now go to the off position. And speed brake disarms. Manchester. Every time. Manchester traffic, Osprey 116 Alpha is airborne through 4000 at Desi 1 Sierra, Manchester. Through transition, watch this altitude drop now. So 5,000, but actually on QNH 1013, bing, 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 bing. It's almost a 500 feet difference there, which means we're a lot lower than we realise. But yeah, noise. Oh yes, it's great, isn't it? 787 fan. Such an iconic noise. Some of these older engines. Beautiful views, lovely cloud. Let's get that ignition mode selector to off, and then we'll turn the icing systems off as well now. That was a 787 MAX. We'd have to have made sure we'd done that within 5 minutes of leaving the icing conditions. Otherwise we could have a catastrophic failure of the engine nacelle. But Boeing thinks that that's not a problem. So they've asked the FAA for an exemption. Crazy, right? DH. No, we're in thrust climb. You can see the limiting mode there, CL. There's no climb gate because it's a bit more of a Boeing than it is an Airbus. So you can see there the gradients of the throttle system, but there's no actual climb gate to put it into. We leave it to this TRP like thrust regulator to deal with that. So it's in climb gate. We can certify that by CL. If we was in automatic though, and it still said GA or Togo or whatever it says for takeoff, I can't remember now which, or it still had our flex selected, then what we would do is we'd press the CL button there to manually select the mode of climb. Let's get the landing lights off, pop the wing lights off. Now the seatbelt signs can come off too. Right turn, southbound. Yeah, it's kind of the best of Boeing with the Airbus flare attached to it as well, which is quite cool. This was incredibly advanced for its time, and I think probably, in fairness, a number of airlines probably didn't know how to. Probably didn't appreciate how good this aircraft actually was. Airlines like Monarch, of course, did. They found it very successful. But this was the first iteration of what we now enjoy with Airbus, with like the A350 and everything else with the fly-by-wire system. It's incredible with the progression of this, which was their first modern airliner, compared to the A300-B2, which was all steam gauge, I think, quite old school, much lower range and stuff, which in fact Just Flight are creating. I mean, this kind of morphed into what we now know as the A330. Doc, you got it. G relaxed. You haven't seen the Osprey World Cargo registration yet. There's G Roku coming up in the upcoming Osprey Airways Osprey World Cargo A300-600R. Some of the liveries being painted. Next live stream, it's going to be next week at some point, because I've got 4 days off as opposed to just 2 after night shift, so we'll need to plan what it is. Oh, by the way, actually, Ashley pointed out something to me the other day, which is a really useful tip that I'd not realised was a thing. So I've been scrolling in my tutorials all of the heading bugs and things like that, but actually if you just leave it for a little while, then you just do that one click, do you see how it snaps straight up to there? But apparently if you press this up arrow here, that will automatically sync with your current heading, which is rather neat. Let's bring the range ring out. A little bit of weather detected there in the distance. Still climbing 2,000 foot per minute, 15,000. Well, brilliant. Well, there is a beautiful Bumblebee style Monarch Airlines livery which is available to use and download on flightsim.to. I've got it downloaded. We've got Zato Model Matched showing it today, and it's rather cool. So I mentioned earlier on about weights, and as you saw on takeoff, we used most of the runway and we were very heavy, even with our cost index of 100. Now if I show you guys New Sky, our virtual airline client, because we're tracking the flight today, you can see here that we've got, where has it gone? 23,501 kilograms of fuel on board. But we've got 256 passengers, 8.1 tonnes of cargo, and a payload of almost 30 tonnes, giving us a zero fuel weight of 100, round it up to 120 tonnes. The maximum is 130, so we're very, very heavy on the zero fuel weight side of things. So basically the cabin is full, and the payload for the cargo hold is about 3/4 full, approximately. And you can see our landing weight there, it's near to the maximum. Maximum is 140 tonnes. We're going to be landing with an estimated weight of 125.6. I say near, it's still 15,000 kilograms short of the maximum, but it gives you an idea of how heavy we've configured the aircraft today for this route with Osprey. It's one of the scheduled services that we have on our virtual airline. So it's in theory going to be the most profitable as well. But yeah, we are full, which makes it interesting because Corfu, as we know, has a fairly tricky approach and a narrow runway and a short-ish runway as well at 2,373 metres, and that includes that big old extended displaced threshold which we can't use for landing, but we can slow down enough to taxi off at normal speeds. In fact, if we go here, usable landing length, runway 34 is what we're expecting, but we might get 16 depending on what the weather's doing. 34 looks like it's okay though. Usable landing length, landing beyond the threshold 2,314 metres. Modestus McPherson is asking there, never know how to get rid of any discontinuities in flight, so he just ends up not using Airbus and flies Boeing. It always says not allowed. What sort of discontinuity? If it's saying not allowed, it might be in there for a specific reason. I can't really show you any of these, but if I go on to let's see, we'll look at Ord, Chicago O'Hare. So it's the case with a lot of airports in the US. We look at their departures. The O'Hare 8, you might have a big old route to Tampa, for example, in Florida, but the departures here is literally vectors to one of these en route transitions, so PECU, for example. So you might depart heading west, you then fly runway heading for a little while, and then you get vectored from Chicago departure to your transition of PQ. There's the charts. So if you're heading west, you can see here the charts. This would be a discontinuity on your flight plan because there's no linkage between any of it. So what you need to do is either fly the vector leave the discontinuity in there because it's intended to be there for the right reasons, or you would just go a direct to. So you take off fly runway heading. If you can't remove it, for example, Modestas, it's because it's telling you it needs to be in there for whatever reason, and a scenario like this might be the case, in which case get airborne on heading mode, not LNAV kind of modes, and then just do a direct to the next waypoint, for example. But also just check, as Elliot is saying, to make sure all of your waypoints are lining up properly, because it might say not allowed because the discrepancy or the discontinuity between two items would still be broken if removed, he says. So it might be that your flight plan is a little bit invalid. That was a weird little sim freeze. Did you guys see that? Thought I was going to have to change my trousers. Osprey 117 Alpha, hello to you, Ali, welcome. He departed just ahead of us, in fact, but he's flying, well, let's see, he's flying elsewhere. I'm trying to think where Osprey 117 Alpha goes to. Oh, he's going to Amsterdam. Lovely, and he's flying the scheduled service to Amsterdam as well. Good guy, love it. 25,000, still climbing. He says we're actually not too far on top of him or underneath him. Can't see him. Look at those clouds, look how fluffy it all looks. Stunning. Grab that as a little screenshot and I'll stick them on Volanta. I haven't, Andrew, no. Morning, Aviate, welcome. Not usually, no, I don't usually check Discord during flight, unless I do on my phone. Sometimes I do. Mainly just the members lounge area, typically. Whoa, Daniel, very nice. There you go, Delta Tango saying there as well to Modestas, if you're using, if with the discontinuities as well, if there is a manual waypoint, it says manual on it, then you need to clear the manual waypoint before then clearing the discontinuity. Gotcha. Good stuff, Modestas. Thank you, folks, for helping him out. I missed a few comments. Let me catch up here as well. Are you using the DLSS 3 mod, or do you have a 40 series card? I've got an RTX 4090, Modestas, so I'm quite lucky to have one of those. An insanely powerful graphics card, of course. There are a lot of people using the frame generation mod, which personally for me, I don't like the sound of. I know it's giving people good results, but if your graphics card isn't designed to have frame generation on it, tricking it to make it have frame generation could cause a lot of problems. So I personally don't know enough about it, but I would steer away from all that kind of thing. Delta Tango, nice one there, saying additionally if there are other prompts or words in the bottom scratch pad area of MTDU, they also need to be cleared in the Airbus before you can enter clear, so it shows up to apply to the manual or the discontinuity. That's a great point. But as David is reminding us there, as we were talking about a moment ago, sometimes discontinuities and the waypoint called manual as well, which is the same as in Boeing where it's a vectors, that is in there for a reason most of the time. So we shouldn't just blanket clear everything. It might be a vectors on departure kind of SID on your route, and that's where having good charts with all the data easily accessible are handy, because it gives you all of those little bits of information. I'm trying to think of other airports that make it a bit clearer for yeah, it doesn't really have any on there for us. Yeah, trying to think of an airport that makes it easier to display and talk about rather than Chicago. Chicago's probably not the best example there. Oh, Girth, Newcastle. Let's have a look at Newcastle. There's an airport we've not flown into for a little while. No, they're all RNAV departures. Yeah, Doc's right. EGCC, the Dane arrival. That, for example, that has on your flight plan, that would show as a discontinuity or manual as well. There it is. So you'd go to Dane, and before routing to runway 05 or 23 for the ILS or the RNAV approach or whatever it might be that you're using, there would be a vectors element to it, or a discontinuity, because that's the end of the star. There is no connection between that and this approach. So you routinely would be vectored by air traffic control in real life to the final approach point so that you make your way in. Same with 05 as well. If I show you guys 05 left for the ILS, the same. There's no connection to Dane, so you would get that discontinuity in your flight plan, and then you would just vector yourself or delete it and have a direct to. But you've got to think, why is there a discontinuity there in the first place, and then investigate what that discontinuity is there for before just deleting it, because it might actually benefit you being there. If it's there, it's probably because it's supposed to be there, for whatever reason it might be. Oh, look at that. One to go before we're at cruise. That there is Ryanair 1 Foxtrot Quebec. He's going Dublin to Amsterdam. And while he's sorting himself out, and we've got 1,000 to go to cruise at Mach 80. This thing's quite the rocket for an Airbus, isn't it? We'll catch up on the situation at Volanta here. So what have we got here? There's Osprey 117 Alpha, took off just ahead of us. And then behind us we've got FedEx 135. Oh, he's in a 757-200. Awesome. That's an X-plane jobby then. And Zato. Monarch 5528, Manchester to Corfu. There she is, that beautiful bumblebee livery. That's a proper Monarch livery right there. That's what I remember as a kid seeing these A300s taxiing around in. There's something about it that really makes it stand out. Do we have anyone else flying along on the route today? My goodness. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of people. One on the runway there. Peter Osprey 32. He's down there. Schoffineck. I hate how Volanta snaps and moves. Chanex 1 Charlie as well in the A321. He's going to Corfu. There's a right old queue. Virgin 127 Charlie. He's off to JFK. There's one to Antalya as well. Monarch there. It's an A300 as well. Wrong ICAO code though, it should be A306. Monarch 83 Papa, there we go. It's just a difference there. That one's on Volanta, that one's on Vatsim, so it's correct number. I wonder if he's in the old school livery as well. Oh, he's not got any screenshots. Who else have we got? KLM on Alpha for some reason. Jersey. Innsbruck. Belfast. Cape Town, wow. Tenerife. JFK. A couple of departures there, a couple of arrivals as well nestled in, rather good. Cracking. And we are almost, I think, going to be level. Oh no, he started his descent, there you go. So he's about to cross our path. Or in fact, his contrail is about to cross our path. Look at this. Elliot, great. It's odd, isn't it? You always end up remembering those. Oh, that's cool. Let's look on the other side. Oh ho! What do we got on the back? Oh, look at that. And then outside. That's epic, isn't it? I remember when Microsoft Flight Simulator created the contrails, and I did a video on it at the time, and everyone's like, oh, contrails, we've got them in X-Plane. But they make such a difference to how it looks. It just gives you that extra little bit of immersion. But it's the first time we actually climbed through around the side of a contrail. It's quite interesting to see how it all looks. Modestas, yeah, you don't have to fly on Vatsim to be part of our virtual airline on New Sky. New Sky is an incredibly realistic way of tracking flights. Mikhail, hello buddy, welcome. Lots of examples from Doc there for various different vectors as well, and Vancouver departures, as David says, are all vectors SIDS as well. So if you're flying around Vancouver, flying out of Vancouver on Vatsim, be careful there. They're all vectors departures. Matthew, good morning, saying, does the INTC course radial in work in this thing? I have no idea, I haven't tried it to be honest. I mean, there's a kind of up arrow there suggesting that there's a pushable item. Yeah, that pushes down. And I don't know if that's what you mean, particularly in relation to the INTC course radial win. You might have to explain that to us in the live chat. Andrew, Fokker F28 DC6 or ATR streams anytime soon? I always say yes, but then something gets released, and then I get all excited. So I'm like, oh, A300. So I end up spending a lot of time in a new funky aeroplane because it's really cool. So I would say yes, but at the same time, I can't commit to that because next week I'll probably want to fly this again once during the week at least. I want to get back in the 737-800 because it's been a little while since we've operated that in the sim as well, and that is still a firm favourite of mine. Next Saturday, actually, we're closing, so it's going to be one of the streams next week. We are going to be flying in this again, and the A300-600 with the Osprey Airways livery, because we are taking part in Cross Africa, which is a huge event on Vatsim, and that's on the 20th of January. Slots are out and available to be booked at the moment. We're flying to... where are we flying to? Tanzania. Out of Cape Town? No, out of Johannesburg, I think, actually, which is quite cool. Attempt to go direct to a fix, but before executing it, see if it gives you the option to change the inbound course. Oof. I don't know if I'd want to do that just yet. Perhaps maybe on the towards this entry into the SID, that might be an option. Elliot, have a good one. I mean, on the direct page, it just gives us the option to select one. So if you book it, and that's it. There's no, it doesn't then open up a whole swathe of options. If that's what you mean. Morning, Clipper. Modestus, yes, they would. Only have one or the other on at any time, because otherwise, yeah, you'll end up having loads of conflicts with it all. You'll end up having planes flying through each other and all sorts of stuff. So, FSLTL traffic, though, Modestus, is linked to Flight Radar 24, so it is, like, I think, give or take 20-30 seconds. It is pretty bang on and very realistic. So if you want real-world traffic, that's what you want. You want FSLTL's traffic injector, which is free. Minus 11 degrees where Andrew is at the minute in Canada, Vancouver Island. Crazy, crazy weather that. I'll use the live chat command to have a little look at the weather in Vancouver at the moment. Vancouver International Airport, that is. Crikey, 290 degrees, 32 knots, gusting 43 knots. But temperature's 3 degrees there, though, which is quite nice. Those of you who didn't watch the episode 3, the ILS landing in the A300 that I did, that's kind of little tutorial that I did. I flew in using Storm Henk, I think it was, or Storm Gerrit, one of them. I think it's Storm Henk. And the winds were the same into Heathrow when I was recording that tutorial, which is quite fun. -1, oof. Winds variable 2 knots. Finland reached -40 degrees the other day, Doc says. That's just insanely cold. I remember visiting Seoul in South Korea once, years and years ago when I was crew for BA, and we went in February. My goodness, it was cold. I think it's the coldest I've ever experienced in my life, and it was like minus 20 something at the time. It was just, I've not experienced anything like it, but it was so bad that if you walked outside and you were outside for too long, all of your, like, the moisture around your eyes would freeze, which is not a fun experience at all. So you end up kind of picking somewhere really close to the hotel and just getting there, hopefully before all of your eyes freeze, because it was just insanely cold. I've not experienced anything like it, but at the same time, I'd never experienced a Korean barbecue until I went to Seoul, and my goodness, that's probably the best restaurant idea ever created. Kimchi's great, and bibimbap as well is quite good, for those of you who haven't tried it, although that can be quite spicy. Afternoon, Andy, welcome. Well, we'd have been in the NG, so that'd have been okay. Yeah, the 737 MAX continues to be quite the mess, doesn't it, Andy? what it means as well is I don't know if it's the same for you folks, but I have very little confidence in the 777X actually being safe because of the mess of the 737 MAX jets at the moment. But the Dreamliners have had similar problems, haven't they? Some of the Dreamliners have found bolts missing and a few other bits over the last few years. If we dig into FAA records, and there you go. In September 2020, the FAA said it was investigating manufacturing flaws in some 787 jetliners, and one of those issues involved gaps around the forward pressure bulkhead, which then stopped delivery until August 2022. In 2021, an FAA memo reveals more 787 manufacturing defects, including contamination of carbon fibre composites, along with a litany of manufacturing defects. So it makes you then wonder how safe that aircraft is. It's just, yeah. But it's interesting reading all of those reports. BMDG are working on a 737 MAX for MSFS Boeing 787 fan. It'll be coming at some point in 2024, I would imagine. I think it's coming after the 777, isn't it? So they're releasing the 777 at some point in the near future, and I think then the MAX was meant to be released at some point after that, before the 747 appears in the sim as a product, which is quite, if that makes sense. But I'm going to be super happy with the 777, as you say there, Clipper. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine if, imagine if the VFAA appear in Vatsim and ground all the aircraft. So you try and connect in a 737 MAX 7 in Vatsim, and then it just logs you straight off. That'd be quite funny. I think they should do that just for a week. Just for comedic purpose, or maybe for 24 hours. Try and log in with a 737 MAX 8, and it will go boop. Login denied. Aircraft currently grounded in the virtual world. Lazy partner, welcome. Yeah, it's cracking, isn't it, Neil? Really good work. A 787 fan, well yes, the Dreamliner has got electric starters, so you don't need to use APU bleed air to start the engines, so you can start both at the same time. I don't know if airlines do that though. I know British Airways, for example, will start one engine at a time, so the pilots aren't monitoring two engine starts simultaneously. They will start one engine, monitor that startup, and then when that's stable, start the next engine, monitor that one. It's more of a safety thing, even though it's capable of starting both at the same time. And I'm in the habit as well in the 787 in MSFS. So when I'm flying whatever route it might be in the sim, I will start one engine at a time, so I can monitor that engine start before then doing the next engine. But yeah, I'm not sure about any other aircraft. To be fair, I would imagine the A350 can probably do something similar. I don't know. I would need to look at the FCOM. David saying there you can start two at a time on the 747 as well. I don't know. Matthew as well saying the 777 can also start both engines at the same time. Nice, there we go. There's an older aircraft that can do that. So was the, I mean, here's a question then. Was the 777 the first aircraft that could do a dual engine start at the same time? Not that any airlines I don't think do they? I think again it's an argument of safety and monitoring one engine at a time. But I'm not sure if any airlines do use the dual engine start functions on any of their aeroplanes that can do it. There we go, so I pressed that up button like I mentioned a minute ago and it snapped that, it synced the heading bug. with our direction of travel there. And if I go on to progress, oh, optimal's 332. I'm not sure with the DC-10s. I mean, that's one of the aircraft I just don't know very much of at all, to be fair. Ski pole coming up, Doc says. Delta Tango says, if you start both at the same time on A320 family, does it automatically do them one at a time? I don't know. Matthew's the best person to ask because he flies them in real life, the A320s. Can you start A320s, both engines at the same? If you tried, would it do one at a time? I don't think it would. It'd probably give you the, you know, the Airbus fader where it just gives you the little orange X. I wonder if it would just do that. Momac, yes, we're using the scheduled system today. So we're taking X-Ray Delta here, out of Manchester where it's based, and we're flying to Corfu with a scheduled service, Osprey 116 Alpha's scheduled service to Corfu, and what that will then mean is the aeroplane will be positioned in Corfu until flown back on another scheduled service, so it kind of mimics the real world. Hey look, I wonder if that's Osprey 117 Alpha that was going to Amsterdam all the way down there. Could well be. Yeah, the 787, they would start both engines, but not necessarily at the same time. Don't know, they might do. But again, we'd need to see TUI's kind of operating manual for the Dreamliner.
Schiphol traffic, Martin Air 4971, short final 3 miles for 06.
So we're going to see much of Schiphol. There's a little glimpse of Amsterdam below the cloud there, but yeah, we're not going to see much apart from that beautiful sun. It couldn't, like, I think it's loading in bit of Schiphol because it's gone a bit juddery and the sim a little bit. Well, Momac, the best thing to do is sign up to New Sky, go on to their New Sky Academy and just give it a go. Fly a flight with them. It doesn't count for our virtual airline flying, but you can give it a little go and see what you think of it, and you can see the flight reports at the end. It goes into a lot of detail, and things like butter in flight sim. People chase butter for no reason, I guess, otherwise that I think other than getting a score near 0 makes them feel good, but in reality, aircraft are going to be touching down around 200 to 400 foot per minute and around 1.1 to 1.3 G. So New Sky looks for that as a value of accuracy instead. It then also looks at your position on the runway at touchdown, how bang on the centre line you are, if you're too far left or right of the centre line, your distance from the threshold as well, just to kind of measure and assess whether you overshoot the touchdown zone, and all of that forms part of the score, which is very realistic, I guess, in a way. Aviate, I've got a 1300 watt PSU. I'm trying to look for the box, it's somewhere in the room. It's a Corsair, no, it's not a Corsair, because my Corsair one broke, and I vowed never to use a Corsair PSU again, because it had sparks coming out the back of my computer. It's an MSI 1300 watt PSU, so it is an absolute beast. Yeah, sparks are bad indeed, yeah. It was a Corsair 1200 watt PSU AV8, and after about 3 to 6 months of use, all of a sudden it started going bang every time I turned it on, and sparks came flying out the back. So very scary indeed, bit of a fire risk. So tore that out, got a new one. They are made it, so I've got a new Corsair PSU in my room, which is sealed in the box ready, and it's kind of a spare backup. And to be honest, I was looking at the
All traffic, Tomjet 1101 is final ILS.
I was looking at
skip all traffic.
what to do with all of my old computer parts, because I don't use my other computer for anything really. So part of me thought maybe I should just, you know, strip it and sell the 2070 Super and all that sort of thing. I need to explore sort of how it all works with making that as a streaming computer, but I really don't know enough about that, so I'd get very confused. Technologically, I'm not the best at that sort of thing.
Skip all traffic, Tomjet 1101 is established ILS 06 left, skip all traffic.
Skip all traffic, item 665, landing on runway 36 left.
Oh, Matthew. Awesome. So airlines do it then. I think maybe the next time I fly the 787, I might dive into that and just do a dual engine start. Quite cool.
Triple traffic, FedEx 135 down for the ILS for 06. November the 7th.
I don't know, commentator, whether or not it would be worth it, but I get confused with all that stuff because I just don't know very much technologically anyway. I struggle with all the PC technical things. But I don't know if it would allow me to unleash the 4090 more in the sim, if that makes sense, or I would get even more headroom, or maybe everything seems to be throttled by CPUs, doesn't it, these days in the sim? Even with my setup, I'm looking at the CPU being my my kind of limitations again still. I then do think sometimes whether or not Captain Loki says hello everybody. Yeah, I do know whether or not sometimes if I was to use the old computer as a streaming PC, it would then give my CPU a break, but then I guess even that it's not going to make a difference, is it? Because ultimately the sim still only runs on one core. Radial, how much do we need to donate for us to do a roll? I'm going to say £10,000. £10,000 for me to do a roll, because it would scupper the flight. What percentage is my CPU and GPU right now? I don't know. Is that going to be in Task Manager? Let me have a little look. Oh, so my CPU is running at 4%, my GPU is at 54%, my VRAM's at 75%, and my RAM is at 35%. So it's barely even breaking into a sweat. Yeah, not even cruising. It's not even jogging at the moment. Glenn, welcome buddy. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Yeah, I think if Microsoft Flight Simulator was multi-threaded properly, then it would be worth it, wouldn't it? Cinnamon rolls, I love those. Oh. Yeah, basically my computer at the minute is doing a Sunday drive in a Honda Jazz. See, look at that. Fly past. Barry Bartson, have you got the latest Navigraph air rack? I read somewhere that there was an issue with the A300 that it can't use Navigraph nav data. Someone was telling me that the other week when I was having a moan about how LNAV is a bit broken, and I've mentioned it in a few little bits of. I've mentioned it on a few in Discord. When was it? In fact, I mentioned it in our tutorial for the engine start taxi takeoff thing. There's a big LNAV bug, and it was the same for the arrival into Heathrow as well. The Honolulu 1 hotel arrival. That got completely buggered up. Couldn't get the insert to get it inserted in the flight plan, Barry. Interesting. Are you filtering it in the correct way? So you select the runway first with the transition for the runway off the approach, then you select the star, then you select the star transition. Otherwise it drops the runway bit off and it gets a bit confused. Now, if you enjoyed that 787 fan, then that's great. It's your sim experience, so you've got to do what you enjoy the most. Now, I think Aviator, I think that's P3D. P3D was built on FSX, wasn't it? I believe. Someone else will confirm or deny. They'll probably know a lot more than me. Yeah, keep investigating, Barry. I know there is a wider issue with the LNAV stuff at the minute and the way that the Navigraph data deals with the iniBuilds A310 stuff. But I was just wondering what that tune was. What was it? Let me go back. East Coast by Molife, apparently. On Epidemic Sound. Let me skip through some of these. I think we're in the weird bit of the playlist. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Pineapple Breeze. Reggae or not. I think we'll skip those. Do you notice how they've improved the sounds in the flight deck now? So this is the latest iniBuilds update. And do you remember how the flight deck was a silent environment before, wasn't it? And now it's actually quite loud, so maybe we need to change our sound settings, because that's all still on max. So if I put this on back to middle, that's the wind noise. If I just pause this, that's the default. Don't know if you guys can hear that. If I turn it right up, this is the environment sound. There's the wind noise around the aircraft. Ambient. Doesn't really, it's probably going to be more a little bit of noise in the cabin environment and that sort of thing. Pax cargo. There's a little bit of hustle and bustle there. The interior engines are still a little bit quiet. So I'll probably end up leaving it set like that now. I'm not sure, Steve, about cabin lighting. I think by the time we get to Corfu, we might have a bit of sort of darker environment. It might even be a nighttime approach, which will be interesting because we've not done that into Corfu before. It's always around sunset, isn't it? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on approach, and we'll look at the lighting if it goes dark. Momac, not sure. I reckon it's going to be early to mid 2025 by the time we see Bluebird 757. Call me pessimistic, but they originally said December 2023, didn't they? Ah, Steve, good. Is that the exterior? It's kind of the way it looks from the outside looking into the cabin lights, or is it the other way around? But yeah, I'm on the same update as you, buddy, so yeah, it's probably not the case. If that is the case, so yeah. But the sounds are definitely improved. You still have to turn it up a little bit, but it does allow you to set the volume right up to max if you want it a bit louder, or you can just leave it on kind of a middling setting if you want it to just be set as intended by iniBuilds. So you can still tweak it exactly how you want it to be, which is quite nice. Sounds was one of my biggest criticisms with the A300, so it's great to see they've fixed it. Those of you looking to get VR as well now, in our Discord server there's an announcement with basically PMax contacted me, and they're offering to everybody a $20 discount off any of their headsets. So it'd be worth checking out if you're looking at getting a VR headset and you're looking at PMax and you've got the budget for it. There's it's just a little something that gives you a bit of a discount with the code BritishAvGeek, I think it was. Got the Osprey World Cargo livery coming soon, Steve, so very exciting. Tapzi's doing some great work with that. Custom interior kind of cabin bins and where all the logos are on the variety of cabin containers, cargo containers and all that sort of stuff. He's tweaking that to have the Osprey World Cargo sticker or whatever put on it as well. So the exterior is all done, for the modern version at least, and that should be getting released at some point soon, hopefully. It'll be quite cool. Steve's got an Oculus Quest. How many of you watching actually have VR headsets, and how many of you use it in the sim? I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are if you do. It's not something I've kind of thought about venturing into, but PMax, I've got to say, PMax did plant the seed. Frustrating that, I mean, naturally they've got very expensive products. They're not going to send me one for the purpose of a press review, but I'm not sure how much I would use one if I was to buy it myself, if that makes sense. But I know some of you guys that watch have VR headsets and use them in the sim. Some of you absolutely love it. I think on a complex airliner it'd be very difficult, Steve's saying, to actually click stuff because you can't really see, unless you know precisely where the layout of all of the things around you physically. I think it'd be very difficult because it's not like you can just start typing in bits into your FMS and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think I would use it for maybe helicopter flying Panda. Probably use it for a bit of helicopter stuff. At a push, general aviation, like you're saying there with your Rift S. I don't think I'd use it in the tube liners. I mean, the Tobii eye tracker for me, it's great on the ground in the airliners, but then I deactivate it by the time I'm lining up on the runway because after that it's pointless. I mean, I don't want to sit. This is the Tobii eye tracker now. If I'm sitting and looking at one point, it kind of bobs around a little bit. And my head's dead still, but it's just kind of moving bits around. My eye point is the same as well, but it kind of wobbles about. But I mean, I do like the fact you can lean and look about and things. It's quite cool. But in the air, in an airliner, it's just a little pointless, isn't it? I think this kind of feature, the Tobii eye tracker stuff. That's just my own opinion. Great from the ground. Look at that shoddy music. So when we get towards Corfu, just sort out the heading bug there. I won't be baguette, Tapzi is. Let's have a little look about what we might do at Corfu. At the minute you can see the weather on the left hand side of the Navigraph bit. 030 at 3 knots, all the 9s. DZ, which is it's not fog, moderate drizzle, but then it's in a bit where it's usually got cloud and stuff. We'll go for drizzle. Few clouds at 1800 feet, scattered 3500, broken 8000, and then temperatures 11 degrees Celsius, dew point 7, QNH 1019. In fact, there it is, conditions drizzle, it's literally written there. Right in front of my eyes. The TAF, which is the forecast for the rest of the day at Corfu, Ionos Capodistrias. Between 12Z today and 12Z tomorrow, average winds of 100 degrees at 10 knots. Good visibility, some cloud, few scattered and broken, various heights. And then between 12Z and 21Z today, there's a 40% probability of 5,000 meters visibility in rain. Few clouds 1,200 feet, few clouds 1,800 with towering cumulus. Broken 2,000, broken 7,000. There's a 30% probability between 14Z and 21Z today of 3,000 meters visibility with thunderstorms and rain. So all of this is going to impact us, this weather forecast here. We might end up flying into Corfu with 3,000 meters visibility and thunderstorms and rain. 30% chance of that. Few clouds 1,200, few clouds 1,800 cumulonimbus. So icing's a big old factor there. Broken at 2,000, broken at 7,000. And then the next bit of the TAF doesn't apply to us necessarily because it's well after our arrival. Yeah, there you go. So current from 12Z reducing to IFR conditions with a cloud ceiling of 2,000 feet above ground level, and that's a 40% chance, expiring at 2100 Zulu. Yeah, some towering cumulus in the area and low visibility 5,000 meters, and then there's a 30% chance from 14Z. So this is around the time of our arrival. There's a 30% probability of 2,000 feet cloud ceiling, thunderstorms and rain, and 3,000 meters visibility, and some cumulonimbus. So it could be quite tricky actually, this arrival. Nevertheless, We're looking at runway 34, which has a 2-knot headwind and a 2-knot crosswind currently, and there's the arrival that we've got planned, the PTAS 2 Juliet arrival. We have a number of different options into Corfu, and they are VOR approaches or RNAV approaches. This can do an RNAV approach, so if we end up doing one, there's a number of steps that you have to follow to make it do it. It's not just you press land and it goes into final approach mode. It doesn't do it on this like that. But we're going to plan for a VOR approach anyway. Probably VOR Yankee 3-4, I think. Doc's generated the route, so I'll have a quick double check. RNAV 3-4 via BedX in fact is what we're saying, which is that one there is what we got planned. So PTAS to Juliet. There it is, so 25 DME from Kukira VOR, and then turning out on a 23 DME arc all the way around to the outbound radial of 261. As we cross that, left turn into BedX with an initial approach fix, and then we're looking at, well, that's for VOR approaches, then we're looking at transitioning from BedX onto the VOR, the RNAV approach runway 34, which I think is the first time doing that into Corfu, but it will look like that. It is a bit of a mad one because trying to find, I've made a little list of the steps. He says. So you cannot be, for an RNAV approach in this, you cannot be in profile mode. You have to be either in vertical speed or level change. With that, you then descend to the platform altitude of the approach, and then in the takeoff approach page we type in the MDA at that point. This is with all of the RNAV approach already put in as a start and the arrival into the aircraft. But once we then type the MDA, a prompt will appear saying final x.x. Execute that prompt and the glide will appear, and it's usually around 3 degrees. Once activated, we will see a top of descent arrow at the final approach fix. We need to be level at our platform altitude before that final approach fix. Once in alt hold, we press profile. We will then see profile descent appear armed in blue, and then 30 seconds before the descent, that will begin to flash to signal descent will appear. It will descend on the glide as soon as it receives glide path signal, and we do not need to select land or VL for the RNAV approach. So quite an interesting way of doing it. That's how it's going to be done today if we fly into this into Corfu with the RNAV 3-4. So a bit tricky. There's a kind of technical aspect to it, something a bit different to what we're used to as well. But you can see how that works. Gianni, hello to you. No, we won't be flying the E190 or 195 in Osprey Airways just yet, because the FSS E-jets are absolute dog poop. So once they get up to a good enough standard with custom LNAV and VNAV, then we will add them in. But until then, no, we won't be, sadly. Ah yes, Doc's saying there it's an offset approach. You make a good point. So on the charts, it's not particularly visible when you look at it from an out view like that, but the actual runway heading, if I just drag that across and click that chart, it's 345 degrees, the runway course. We're coming in 340, so it's an ever so slight offset. And you can see the vertical profile there. So Corfu 601, max 185 knots, 2,900 feet. Down to 1,700, 5 mile final then with a 3 degree glide path angle, look at that. Notes 1, depending on aircraft climb performance, radar vectors to BedX should be expected, it says there. Final approach track offset 5 degrees from runway centerline, as Doc's saying there with the notes number 1. You guys can read that on the charts there. And circle to land not authorised. Minimums for this, it's an LNAV based approach. Minimums of 770 feet. And that's CDFA, so they've already added in the kind of 50-foot buffer for a go around, which is quite good, but we'll go through that in more detail once we get a bit closer and we start to put all of that into the aircraft nearer to our arrival. How many waypoints do we have left? Quite a few. We're not yet at the halfway point. We've got a long way to go. Road on, then top of descent there. So we won't commit to anything just yet because the weather might change significantly. Certainly if a storm starts to pass through, it might be that suddenly they have a runway change because the winds are strong and favouring the southerly instead. Benji, you just have to use Notepad, basically. Those of you who missed it, I've missed it as well actually. PMDG's forum's been updated, 6th of January now, so about 4 or 5 days ago there's a little update from PMDG in relation to the 777 beta testing. Fun fact though, the Navigraph Flight Sim Community Survey, the results of that were quite overwhelming for PMDG. They got the best product of Microsoft Flight Simulator in 2023. That was the PMDG 737 series. They've also scored number 1 for the most anticipated product in 2024, and that's the 777. And the combined most used number 1 aircraft in Flight Sim's community survey for 2023 was also the PMDG 737, which is a remarkable triple whammy for those guys. I'm sure they're super happy with that. But their update for the 777 testing sounds quite good. It's a short one, just as they give us little updates here and there. They work through the beta phase and the testing period before release. Robert Randazzo said that he was chatting with a fellow he flies with regularly, with a load of rain in the area, and it caused him to reflect on how miserable it is to pre-flight outdoors in weather like this. Hard, cold, driving rain finds you no matter how big the aeroplane or how hard you try to remain with your back turned to the wind. And nearly exactly 30 years ago he was in management at the airline, sitting in a nice warm 727 at DCA, watching the second officer get rained on. In a day just like this one, I thought he would give anything to trade places with him. He says what a career change that moment spawned, and soon enough it was my turn to get rained on. It was glorious. But anyway, he then moves on to the beta progress of the 777. He says our upcoming flagship of the fleet, the PMDG 777, continues to make solid progress through the beta testing period. They're not yet at a point where they're projecting a release date, as they've got a number of features still being baked into the aircraft, many new items that are also being tested, tweaked and improved in order to bring us the most feature-rich 777 simulation yet created for desktop simulation. Now that sentence in itself sounds miraculously good, doesn't it? PMDG will begin talking more openly about many of these features as the airplane nears to release, and they're also planning to spend a number of weeks doing feature previews and the like to give us some insight into just how incredibly detailed the 777 will scratch the big airliner itch when she rolls out in the near future. They just handed Beta 5 to our to PMDG's testing team, and they're still testing heavily battery on to battery off on short haul segments to give it all of the systems and capabilities, as many cycle workouts as possible. Their team is as active as they've ever seen them, and the rate in which they're reporting items to us remains pretty much right on the slope that we expect to see at this phase of testing. and they've been tracking loads of metrics. They've opened up 359 issue reports, and the development team have resolved 263 of those as of 18Z of the 6th of January. With a natural slowdown because of Christmas and New Year as well, but they'll start to increase the rate at which they're dealing with that now Christmas is over. And the next update from them actually will probably therefore be quite interesting, because it will give us an indication of where that figure now might lie post Christmas, when the old cogs have started to whir again with everybody. They said they'd hoped that they would be doing flight deck previews this week or last week, but Vin asked that he holds off just a bit longer because he's still working on some key components fit and finish, and PMDG will report back to us with some flight deck details once Vin gives the all clear. And that's it. A little bit of tweaks and updates to the 737 marketplace stuff, and livery updates there as well. Oh, and he's got a 16-week-old golden retriever puppy. Very nice. So quite a decent little update. People go, oh, PMDG say that here's an update, but they don't really give us very much information about it. But when you look at it, actually, they're giving us a little bit of information, because there is a little bit of information to give us. And they are being as open about it as possible. They're talking to us about what the delays might be, where the beta testing phase is, and all that sort of stuff. So whilst it doesn't sound like there's much inside that update post, there's actually a fair bit of information to glean from it. Lord Oliver says, just wondering, do you have a document where you share a list of your mods? There isn't, to be fair. No, I've got many though. Alex, they do, don't they? I'm really looking forward to the 777. Seemingly most of the sim community is, in fairness, as well, which speaks volumes to the quality of PMDG's work. Konstantin, though, however, is looking forward to the iniBuilds A350. I reckon you'll be looking at 2025 for the A350, Konstantin, to be honest. Same Benji Gator for you. A year from now, and across the pond, we may have a bunch of 777s, A380s and A350s flying around, he says. Dean, yeah, no idea. I wouldn't even begin to know how to understand how they create it, to be fair. I think it all starts with the FCOM. They'll obtain the FCOM, which I think for the A350 is something like 4,600 pages long or something crazy. And then with that they start to work out with an exterior model how to then code the systems, I think. Not sure. It's all a bit weird. Well beyond my ability. But yeah, as Andy says, before we get a lot of these aeroplanes, like the Flybywire A380 or the iniBuilds A350, or even the Bluebird Sim 757 at this rate, we will probably be enjoying Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 by that point. And hopefully enjoying a lot of aircraft that we're enjoying now, updated to work across on the new sim effortlessly quite quickly after release. And I wonder if this one will then kind of get mothballed. Be interesting to see what happens with it. Because Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is a complete replacement of MSFS 2020. Which we said last year, commentator. We said last year, MSFS 2023 is going to be a great year for flight sim, and it has been. And now we've got Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 coming. We've got the PMDG 777, Just Flight with their Avro RJs and their Fokker F70 and the Fokker F100. PMDG with their 737 MAX at some point this year, hopefully as well later on. Aerosoft's A330 if they actually ever get that released. Bluebird Sim 757. Just Flight with their A300. They've got the is it the B2? The very first A300 that flew. They're working on that as well. Lots of aeroplanes. Yeah, oh yes, Benjigator, the Fenix A319 and A321 coming very soon. And around all of that, more scenery. Loads more scenery coming. And big updates to current sceneries as well. I know Mako Simulations is looking at updating Manchester. Was looking at updating Birmingham, but Pyre Devco look to have announced that they're going to be doing Birmingham Airport, which is going to be amazing. So hopefully that might make Mako up his game a little bit, get some updates out, maybe finish Birmingham, because it does look very unfinished. I'm not sure, Zato. I mean, there was a phase, so many updates, that I kind of lost track of which updates I'd remembered there being. I knew Fenix were meant to release the A319 and A321 back in, when was it? September? And we're still waiting now. Understandably, they've had problems with bits they've needed to solve and fix, but it does sound like that's finally now closing in. So a lot of people looking forward, me certainly, I'm looking forward to the Fenix A321, particularly more than anything else. Very much looking forward to that. Yeah, that depends on their context, doesn't it, Birdman? Because they can say it's coming in weeks, not months, but then say that it's coming in 24 weeks. Right, yeah, it's 24 weeks away, but it's coming in weeks, not months. I doubt it. Yeah, MK Studios, they're making version 2 of Helsinki, LPPT and Keflavik, but they'll probably charge a disgraceful amount of money for it, which is disappointing. It's the only thing with MK Studios, they just, instead of actually making and supporting the products, or making a product and then supporting it with decent updates, they're creating a separate product as a version 2 and then just trying to take more money out of the community all the time, which does my head in. I have a big issue with that. I get they need to make money, but you know, if somebody buys Keflavik version 1 and 6 months later version 2 comes out, they've already paid 20 quid for it, but if they want version 2 they've got to pay another 20 quid. I think they can get stuffed. Yeah, unfortunately, Elliot, a lot of people don't. They just pay. I think if more people pushed back from it, then that kind of stuff would stop, or they would maybe adopt a bit more of a reasonable pricing strategy. So Orbex, by comparison, when they create a version 2 update for a scenery, and it's a complete rebuild with a load of new features and stuff in it, they only charge a few pounds, a very, very small nominal fee for you to upgrade if you already own the previous product. That I don't mind so much, but it's when you get charged full price again, I think it's just despicable. Yeah. I don't know. Each to their own. Everybody has a different kind of outlook on that and a different opinion on it, don't they? That's the thing. Some people don't mind paying twice for the same thing. Yeah, iniBuilds Leeds is probably going to be really good, Hergy. It looks fantastic in the videos, doesn't it? And like you say, it's straight in. If you've bought Leeds V2, then you're going to be looking at then buying probably the iniBuilds Leeds, because that, in fairness, is likely to be a fair bit better. Yeah. What's my best European airport scenery at the moment, in my opinion? Fly Tim's asking. Ooh, that's a tough one. Because there's a lot to choose from, isn't there? You know what, I'm struggling with that one. I kind of want to say Fly Tampa's Amsterdam. But as good as it is, it doesn't have the really nice finesse and polish that Pyreig Devco's East Midlands has got, by contrast. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. Yeah, Brussels Mega Airport is very good, as Elliot's saying. Again, it's really tough because there's a lot of good stuff, and they're all quite different. So if you want cargo ops, East Midlands is perfect. Good morning, Goob. East Midlands is probably one of the finest for that. iniBuilds London Heathrow is remarkably nice. Brussels from Aerosoft is a top-notch airport. What was the one we were in the other day? Let me just find it, because that blew my mind. I'll go to my old live streams. Leipzig was pretty cool, wasn't it, actually? Yeah, Leipzig was very good with the actual animated doors and stuff. Maybe Fly Tampa's Las Vegas, but then it requires you to have a ruddy powerful system to be able to enjoy all of the city in true detail and the sphere and all that kind of stuff. Richard, welcome, mate. Belfast for Daniel. Belfast Aldergrove, closest major airport. Very nice. Lord Oliver says Stockholm Arlanda. Is that the payware one? Because I wasn't really... Everyone was hyped about it. Certainly people that were sent it for free for a press review were like, oh, it's amazing. But when I took a look at it, I think I purchased it, I can't remember, unless I was sent a press copy. But I've got a feeling I bought that one because of the hype. And everyone saying, other content creators saying how good it was. And I remember seeing a lot of pixelated stuff and a bit wishy-washy textures all over that with my RTX 4090 running in 4K. So I wasn't impressed with it. I was left a little bit disappointed, I think, with that scenery. Oh, I'm not sure actually, Delta Tango. Unless he's says unless he's to be corrected there, is the Vegas ILS with the Fly Tampa scenery still misaligned? (2.6). Yeah, we didn't do that before, did we? So. Unless, Delta Tango, you mean... Is it the glide path lining up with the Pappies? Because there's a note on the charts here that says that the VGSI and the ILS glide path are not coincident. And same with ILS 2.6 right as well. So if that is the discrepancy, then that's probably correct, but if it's like an offset ILS when it's not meant to be, then that would be a problem. Benjicator says his airport wish list: Paris Charles de Gaulle, Frankfurt, and 3 is Fly Tampa or an iniBuilds Miami, and 4 is San Francisco. Yeah, there would be some great airports. Paris Charles de Gaulle in MSFS is just a little bit crappy. It's super heavy on performance, probably the heaviest on performance, in fairness. Dusty, welcome buddy. Feel free, I mean we're only halfway, so if you want to join us at some point further down on our flight plan route, Dursey2, and want to do a short hop to Corfu to arrive at the same time, feel free. An amazing buffet of airports, Starter Tango says. Richard, exciting. Yeah, I think it's too difficult to pin which would be my most favourite airport scenery at the minute, because there are quite a few very, very good ones, and they're all roughly around the same, on par with each other, aren't they? I haven't looked at iniBuilds Dubai yet. It's on my list of things to do. We'll dig into that. We'll fly in or out from there next week at some point. We'll probably do... Aegean have got a brand new A321neo, haven't they? So perhaps we'll dive into the Latin VFR A321neo with the Horizon Sim mod, and we'll do the Aegean flight from Athens to Dubai. That would be quite a cool one. So I think that's the route that we're planning for it. Yeah, we'll see how we go. But yeah, that looks very, very good. Certainly with the Dubai City Pack that they have as well. Yeah, I'm the same, Delta Tango. That's why I have to get my food delivered online with an online home delivered grocery order. Because if I walk through the aisles of the shops, I'll see something and go, well, I like that, and then I'll spot something else and go, I like that. I don't need them, but I end up buying them anyway. Usually snacks. Is it the default Madeira, Richard, or is it the payware one by, was it Amsim? I think it might have been, I can't remember now. But both are pretty good. If you've got the payware one though, hopefully you've remembered to uninstall the freeware one that's included in the sim, otherwise they clash a little bit. I think the payware one was pretty good from memory. Guilty! Mr. Season, welcome. I get nervous when the sim stutters like that, you know. Okay, 160 miles to Nipple. We're crossing Bavax now. I think it'd probably be wise to do a fuel check, wouldn't it? I don't want to do a fuel check at Nipple. Where are we? Babble, 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 babble. Bavax, there we go. It's 13.1 tons. Oh, crikey, we've got 14.8. Loads of fuel. Does too, yeah, no worries. Wash. Oh, okay. How is it upside down? I haven't changed anything. There she is. Orientated in the correct manner. You know, the lad who said earlier on how much for a barrel roll, I should have said, yeah, give me 10 quid then, and I could have just done this. Whee! You know, when you rotate the drone camera. We'll see if that would have tricked him. That's it. That's the requested roll. £10, please. Ah, the Alps are coming up as well. So usually we get a bit of turbulence. Look at that. We've got a little bit of snow down there as well. Absolutely stunning. Mega. Yeah, it's a super long flight, Richard. Off to Madeira out of Manchester. Very, very long trip indeed. So currently we've just routed over Munich Airport. Simwings Munich's a fantastic payware. But that's our current location. We're about to head over the Alps towards Austrian airspace. It was an Australian Osprey 32, yes. We've got nipple and we're upside down. Definitely Aussie. Auto tune in the VORs as we fly along. A300, Richard, is really good. It's fantastic. There are a couple of bugs and issues with it, but they're not anything that would impact your flight particularly. I had a few people asking me about how to do holds, so I've done a holds tutorial on our little A300 tutorial series that I've got running on the channel that's new. Worth checking out if you are new to the A300 from iniBuilds. And episode 4 is about holds, but it also looks at dynamic waypoints. So if we were to have to hold at a waypoint that's not in our route, I show you how to add that in as well. And it flies automated holds really nicely. Really nicely. So no complaints there. It's pretty good. We are literally at the halfway point now, which is pretty cool. I wonder if we can get further up and... oh, look at that. Fantastic. I think we'll have Innsbruck on our... that's München. Yes, Innsbruck is down that valley over there. So if we try and spot it... probably down that valley there actually. So Innsbruck will be down there, and that hill there, that bump, that's probably that waypoint adfig that we established on the localizer on. But look at the snow below, it's very stunning. Oops. Cracking view, isn't it? Evening, Anthony, welcome, hope you're well. Fair enough, Richard. I think your transition from the 737 across to the A300 would actually, you'd probably find it quite smooth. It's got a few little Airbusy kind of flares and little bits of quirks, Airbusy quirks, but it kind of feels half Boeing, half Airbus, so your transition across the A300 would probably actually be quite good, Richard. To be fair, it is worth looking at if you're wanting a twin aisle with a freighter variant, a few other bits to give you some flexibility. Depends though, because if you're looking at buying it when that PMDG 777 comes out, I'd probably find myself getting sucked in and choosing the 777 instead. Adam Flyer in Albuquerque, New Mexico, welcome, good morning. And hello, Brimalian. Great to see you, hope you're okay, Happy New Year. I mean, I was going to ask what you guys are all looking forward to the most out of 2024, but I think probably 99% of you, if you were to only pick one, you'd probably all say the PMDG 777. I would.
Some comes Steffi, opportunity to offer short final, one way for long up.
Crikey, Delta Tango, how much snow have you got? Was it still falling, so every time you clear it you look outside and then there's more? No meshes, Paul, just generic MSFS as it comes. Q400 would be cool, everything RC, yeah, that'd be a great aircraft. There we go, I think Innsbruck's. In fact, it's not down that valley. It's probably in this valley here, actually. Innsbruck, we'll look out for it, keep an eye out. Stunning, isn't it? How far out do you think the 777 is, as we've had a few teasers? Anthony says, I reckon middle of February, end of February. If I was to guess a date, that would be quite cool. Flying to Florida with Virgin, hopefully getting his mate as the first officer on flight. He's an A330 pilot, Andy says. That's a cool one. That'd be a very cool trip. So, especially if your mate's flying as well. Hopefully you get a little cheeky upgrade. Are you a Fly Simware Lear fan? NM Flyer's asking. I haven't tried it, to be honest. I haven't got any contact with the developer, but I've heard it's fairly unfinished. Probably fair to say. So I don't find business jets particularly exciting anyway, in fairness. I've always been, my flight sim experience for me has always been about pursuing that dream of being an airline pilot, knowing I can't ever be one because I just can't afford it, and I'm now too old and too committed to a different life. So for me, flight sim gives me that, and I chase the airliners because of it, basically. Yeah, it's rendering really nicely, isn't it? Oh, somehow got outside the glass there. I do love flying over the Alps, it's pretty good. There's a little bit of Alpine turbulence. Alpine turbulence? Alpine turbulence, we'll go with that. You see the nose just bobbing up and down ever so slightly. Yeah, Andy, that'll be epic. And yeah, the end game for him when he achieves that, I'd imagine how incredibly proud you'll end up being as well. You'll be in Tesco at the checkout and you'll be like, hello, my name's Andy, my son's a pilot. It's a big undertaking, Anthony, but it's a big ask developing an aircraft that modern and that new and that complex in a sim. And doing it well, it'll be quite a test for iniBuilds. If they pull it off and it's accurately done, sounds, textures, system depth, flight dynamics, all the rest of it, then that might well push iniBuilds into being one of the lead developers of sim. No, I avoid the frame generation mod, Sam. I'm blessed with an RTX 4090, so in fairness I don't need it, but I actively avoid anything. If I had my 2070 Super, I probably still wouldn't use the frame gen mod. Although, as tempting as it would be, your GPU isn't meant to be able to do frame generation, so if you're forcing it to do frame generation, I think you should expect problems. As fluffy as it might seem when you watch a content creator make a glossy video about it, doesn't mean it's going to work well for you. Yeah, Sam, I get the pain. Delta Tango grew up in New England, where it snowed plenty. It was often sunny the next morning. Here it seems like it's always minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, wind chill the next morning. Oh, that's horrendous. That's super cold. Mind you, I think it's probably okay, isn't it, when if you're layered up properly, that's how you keep warm. Yeah, the 146 is a good option, 32 there. But like you say, it's not easy flying on Vatsim. The Avro RJ will be much better because it's got that more modern avionics suite. Like you say, it's got autopilot and auto throttle as well. A bit more modern. Like it could do, yeah. This has kind of a realistic flight wear on it. Same with the PMDG 737, where you've got that realistic kind of service-based failures on it. So you need to make sure that the aircraft gets quote-unquote maintained every now and again. You can still, in theory, fly it in realistic mode for a very long time without having all of that sort of stuff affect your flights, but then you might get a pressurization issue. It is Elliot, isn't it? GoPro cam. We might as well call it that. But it's very, I don't use this kind of viewpoint often, but I think for the Alps it looks spectacular, doesn't it? It gives you a realistic kind of look on the world. Certainly a view we don't see in real life flying either. I spend a lot of my time, certainly if I'm flying over the Alps and I'm looking out the window like that, I just stare. But I like to look down as well, and I try and look at all the little roads down there, and when I'm flying over the Alps in real life, I try and take it all in as much as possible. Hey, it's Common Sense Gaming. Thank you very much. Super generous. He's just gifted Andy Glore a 1-month membership to the British Navgeek channel. Thank you very much. Andy, you know the drill. Make sure you've linked your YouTube account into your Discord, if you're in our Discord that is, and it'll get you access into our club lounge for the month. Mr. Season, yeah, there is that. There is that, yeah. I don't have Steam, Akem. I use the MSFS store version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Andrew, hello to you. Is the A300 available with time acceleration? I would imagine it is, but I've never tried it and I don't know how it really works with it, so I'm not 100% sure with that, to be fair. Oh yeah, I don't use Steam, Arkan. Yes. What's a dead man's finger, commentator? I love a gin and tonic, and I also love a... It's not a Bloody Mary, it's a Red Snapper, which is a Bloody Mary with gin instead of vodka. It's really good. I'm the same, Dirty too. In fact, whenever I go flying, I pay for the seats on our flight, me and the missus, and what I then do is I book myself the window seat every time, regardless of what route we're doing or whatever else. So it's always me sat in the window seat. It's just automatically assigned by British Airways. That's what I say anyway. Which tonic? I think on BA on board it's Fever Tree now, isn't it? Or Schweppes, I forget which, but I think they're running Fever Tree at the minute. Oh, Brimalian, yeah, the A400M is a impressive big aircraft, isn't it? It's huge. It's Common Sense Gaming. All you need to do then, buddy, is check out all of my Vatsim tutorials and just take your time learning it, basically. And we'll go through bits of phraseology, how to use Unicom, how to file flights and plan flights and all that sort of stuff. So best way to start is Common Sense Gaming is on my Vatsim tutorials playlist. There's so much to talk about. I think there's about 9 or 10 different tutorial videos across various subjects, but all worth checking out. And within those playlists there are also links to little PDF documents I've created to help you with various flows of information as well. Exactly, MPS. You break that gin, I'll be fuming. G-Roku is almost ready though. Our Osprey World Cargo A300. Oh, Andy, you're on dry January. I'd never bother with that. I don't know why. Oh, Dirty too. See, I would just say no. Put a little eye mask over the baby's head. Because I'm looking out the window, and they can't force you to. I'll just say no. I'd be that awkward guy, but like, no, I want to look out the window. I don't need a movie during a flight. If it's sunny outside, and it's daylight in flying, I can sit at the window like this and I just take it all in. In fact, let's see, we pop in to a window. There you go. It's basically how I spend say it's a 4-hour flight, that's probably how I spend about 3 hours of that flight. Just staring and watching the world go by, because I find it miraculous. I find it really, really quite exquisite, being able to see all of these different little bits of the world below, and part of the holiday for me. I love it. Oh, Roverhead nipple. Exactly, Brimalian. Just put a blanket over the baby. Or don't fly with the baby. Delta Tango, I'm the same. So what I try and do is I sit on, say, aircraft right, and I look out the right window on the way out. I'll then book the left-hand side of the aircraft on the way home, so that it evens out the neck muscles from just looking out the runway and out of the window or for the whole flight.
Ground traffic, traffic 3 Charlie, taxiing to runway 12, holding point kilo.
Oh, Doc, that's pretty nice. See, I'm one of those that when I book my flights, I always have to book I pay for a window seat, even if it costs me £200 to book me and the missus into specific seats on board. Because I get worried that we'll end up either being separated, because she's not a great flyer, she's a bit nervous, or we'll end up with 2 aisle seats, and that's my idea of hell. So I always try and make sure I've pre-selected the seats exactly where I want them, to make sure I've got a window with a good view over the engines near the wing, that kind of thing. But I also look at the departures, so if I'm flying out of Heathrow, I try and think, if I'm flying in, and that in all likelihood they're going to be using 27 left for arrivals after 3 PM, then I'll try and book the right hand side of the aircraft for the flight home back to Heathrow, so I get the view over London and all that sort of thing. I mean, I've done the same for FS Expo in June. I've pre-booked and paid for my seats with British Airways on the A350, flying outbound. I'm going business class, I can't wait. I've used loads of Avios points for it. And then I've pre-selected and booked my seat with Southwest and American Airlines for the 2 little domestic hops from Phoenix to Vegas and back, and the same for the flight home with BA from Phoenix. Just about to fly over Ljubljana. Andy, yes. A lot of airlines are actually kind of stripping first class back now, aren't they? So they're not doing them as much. Well, I'm going to Phoenix, Benji Gator. I'm flying a Phoenix first, and I'm going to be sat in 2 Alpha. And then I've got the hop from Phoenix to Vegas. On the way back, I'm flying Vegas to Phoenix, and then I've got a connecting flight back with British Airways, Phoenix to Heathrow. So it's a little bit of a convoluted route around, but the reason why I've done it that way is because I wanted to fly the A350-1000 with the new BA Club Suite. Aken wants to see the map. Let's have a little look at Volanta so far to see what our sit rep is. So over Slovenia at the moment, just passed over Ljubljana. Aircraft below us there, routing in actually, an EasyJet flight routing into Ljubljana, which is quite nice. None else behind us, ahead of us rather. We've got Zato behind in the A306. He's probably taken more screenshots. Oh no, just the 2 still. And I think it's just Zato flying along today, I believe. I think there was Peter as well. Oh, there's Smorton. Although he's flying Oslo, I don't think he's flying along today on the route. LTBS. Maybe Peter or someone's on a different routing. We're all the way down here, so they should be not too far behind. I don't know, I can't see him. Do a vlog on my flight like Noel Phillips or Josh Cahill. I could do, couldn't it? I could do. I don't know if it'd work very well though. Same routing, Peter. You just vanished off Atlanta temporarily. You'll probably pop back again in a few minutes. Let's change that weather tilt to down 3 degrees. Benji, I'm not sure to be honest, buddy. Probably not. I'd probably do the little rotation that I've got planned. Although I'll probably just do American Airlines, Phoenix to Vegas and then back again or something like that. But probably not the long haul. I struggle with long hauls because A, it's a very long time to be sat at a computer. B, I don't have sort of 10 hours. Quite often I don't have 10 hours to sit and stream for in a day. Certainly if I've got the dog as well, because it's not fair on him. Because if I'm in, my missus is at work. If I'm at work, missus is at home with the dog and vice versa, that sort of thing. So I'd end up needing 2 or 3 big breaks throughout the journey, which is then not great for the stream. Yeah, I'd look at the Phoenix to Vegas leg and back again. Part of me very nearly just thought, you know what, I'll just book the direct flight to Vegas because then it's super simple. I'm a little bit worried about the way that Americans do their domestic flights because I know lots get cancelled and there seems to be a lot of instability with whether or not the services are actually going to go or not. So it worries me, not so much on the way out, but on the way back, I'm a little bit worried that the American Airlines flight, say for example, would just get cancelled or delayed, and then I'd miss my flight with BA from Phoenix to Heathrow because it's technically not a flight connection, single booking. They're 2 separate flights. So if I miss the flight back, then I'd worry that I would end up missing the flight home, proper flight home from Phoenix, and then I'd be very out of pocket. I don't really know how it all works, but I've heard there's mega overbookings and all sorts of stuff. So I don't really know how domestic flights in the States work, but it does have me a little bit worried. Yeah, the near misses don't help, but then if you're in the back, you don't know, do you? I guess. I don't think it is, Tim. I don't think wind shear detection is working on the A300. There you go, 398 miles to our destination. Optimal's 341, so we'll just stay at 35. But we can look at descent forecast and all that jazz as well, and we can think about the arrivals. So we just, in fact, we don't want the charts. hide those. We get new sky up. We scroll down our OFP and we can find some descent winds. So we'll go for, in the descent forecast, there we go. Let's type some of this in. So at 350 at the moment, we'll go for 310 /277 at 41. Flight level 150, kind of a halfway point, isn't it? 265 at 14. And then if I do flight level 100 at 275 at 11. And then the Corfu winds, not really going to be on there. There is a METAR on there, but if we look at the charts, because that's going to give us the more up-to-date information, I'll just tick that button there to go onto the METAR. 030 at 2. But the mean winds there, 100 at 10. Zero 30 at 2. I'll just plop that in. That's the current METAR. Oops. 030 at 2. Okie doke. And they're expecting this RNAV 34, aren't we? So I reckon we're going to Corfu now, hit the star, and again, if you're not sure how it all works, it filters in this aircraft by approach first. So we're looking at RNAV 34, second one down, transition BEDX, and then we select the arrival procedure, and we want the PITAS to Juliet, which is further down the list. And then we insert, and we can scroll down and have a little look. We might have discontinuity, we might not. That's fine. I'll just go on to plan, hide the charts. What I want to do is just bring the mode in so I can actually see what's happening with all of this. PITAS, intercept. Make sure this is how we expect. Delta 261 Whiskey. So that's going to be the outbound radial. We'll just have to monitor that to see how that works properly in the aeroplane. KR 602, 601. 34 followed by the missed approach. Alrighty. So, when we spoke about earlier on the RNAV elements, there's a specific selection of things that we need to do. So for the RNAV 34, right at the top here, we want to be at 2,900 feet. But actually, we want to be at 1,700 feet level by that final little point at 5 miles. In fairness, at that point we might actually have our autopilot off. It's an LNAV approach anyway, but the aeroplane can take that and go, okay, well, you want a 3-degree glide path angle, so we can achieve a 3-degree glide path angle, and it will help us then do that. But the MDA is 770. And then you go, that final x.x that we spoke about earlier, is recognise that we've selected an RNAV approach. So now what it's done is it's said, okay, well the final approach is therefore 3 degrees. And what you need to do is look on the charts and make sure that you've got not only the platform altitude, but that 3 degrees glide path angle there. Just make sure that it's correct. It's there as well, descent angle 3 degrees. What you then also need to do, just in the flight plan here, is locate KR600 and ensure it's 1700. So actually I'm going to go into this. I don't want at or above, I want specifically at 1700, because we need to make sure that we've achieved that before we go into that little approach mode we're going to go into a little later on. Wind correction, we'll go for 5 for now. If it starts to get really stormy we'll select 10. But we're all pretty much ready to go. That's all of the kind of prep done. Nice and early, probably very early compared to when we actually need to do it, but it's just so we can spend a bit of time talking about the RNAV elements of the approach. But that's one of the kind of things I've been asked to do recently is can you do an RNAV tutorial in the A300s? Well, this is it. We're doing it live. Lazaros, Calispera. I almost did the, as Dirty2's saying there, US air travel is a little bit more like public transport. Unless you want a really long drive. I almost booked a car to drive the 4 hours from Phoenix to Vegas. It'll be quite a nice little trip, but a flight with Southwest means it would be, I would arrive an hour quicker than the total journey driving on the highways or the freeways, so I just thought I'll take the flight. It's actually cheaper than me hiring the car and fueling it and everything else anyway. Yeah, Benchgator, there is that. What I could do on the day is just book the next available flight if that one gets stopped for whatever reason, couldn't I? That's the thing. So there's a lot of options for us. Yes, Dirty2. I believe that's the case anyway. But I mean it'll be a 5-mile final at that point anyway, so we'll have speed down to final approach speeds, we'll have gear down, and we'll have flaps fully extended as well, 30-40, so that's all going to be sorted out anyway. We'll be at final approach speeds and all the rest of it. Eight, 98. There we go. That's cool. That goes up in increments of 10. First time using that. We can set this. Lots of scrolling. Let's get all the way to 770. Yeah, it's happened to me once, Goob, actually, but I don't know if it's because I had a problem with the data. In fact, was it the last stream in this? We suddenly started to accelerate on final approach, didn't we? We ended up at 180 knots, and then I just took over and idled the throttle and hand flew the whole thing. But yeah, you can change speeds at waypoints. You just go into the constraint page, so if it was going to be road on, for example, we just select that, the vertical revision, and the top option there is speed. You can amend that figure, so if there's a figure in there for whatever it might be, you can change it. Which actually, in fairness, we could probably do here, so 140, Flight plan. Let me show you as a bit of an idea. 600, 185. We can put in what, like 160 for example. Look, there you go. John, awesome. Hello, buddy. No worries at all. I think the principle in the A310 is the same. So if you were flying the A310, then you'd follow all of the same steps. You should get the same result as well. But again, I haven't flown the A310 in a very long time. It's a bit of a weird aircraft, that, because it's so short and stumpy. I don't really massively enjoy that. I like longer, bigger, fatter, faster. Goob, you're in Vegas. Awesome. Are you going to Flight Sim Expo this year? I'm going to be going for the whole week. I kind of wish I could go for a short period of time, but I'm effectively going Wednesday through to Monday, and Monday's my flight home. I think Monday they've got all of the funky stuff that goes on. They do like some events and things, don't they? But I won't be taking part in those, so I'll be trying to fly home at that point, but I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Michael, good morning. Enjoying the Lidge at 35 Alpha. Oof. Flight Sim, we are on the PTAS to Juliet arrival for the RNAV 34 with the transition of BedX. I can type it in the live chat if you want, if you think it'd be a bit easier. Cabin animation there, so the seatbelt sign goes off when it's off. They're saying at some point they actually want this this screen area here to illuminate. At the minute it doesn't do anything, but at some point in the future, iniBuilds have said that they want to actually activate that screen, so it'll then follow what's in the SimBrief profile or the EFB in the flight deck. I think the A310 does that, doesn't it? Oh, I didn't set the CellCal code, Doc. That was Tapzi. Well, most of them are going to be invalid. They don't follow the format precisely. The hell's going on there? That's weird. Yeah, so they just haven't linked it to work in the A300 yet, it seems, but there will be in the future. How do you know which airports you can land this big boy? It should require a longer runway than your standard A320, right? Yeah, slightly longer. But Monarch Airlines used to fly into the Greek islands quite frequently in this. So it has the stopping performance and all the rest of it. You know the cockpit seat moves forward and back? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? We can show it here. Where is it? It's the click spot there, isn't it? Look at that. Quite funky, isn't it? And you can do that the same with El Capitano. It's all the way back. The rudder pedals, I thought... is it this aeroplane, the rudder pedals? No, it's not. It's the TBM, actually, I think it might be that does that. There was one, wasn't there? You can wind the rudder pedals forwards and backwards, but I think that's the TBM, the SimWorks Studio. Vega gets way too excited when the seats move in sim aircraft. Yeah, and the armrests. Ooh, there's a click spot there. What's that for? Oh, it's the rat. Don't want to deploy that by accident, do we, eh? What's this for? That's a click spot as well. I get a feeling that's the gravity gear extension lever. Click that. Ah, yeah, it goes in there. 20 revolutions. I'm not clicking it. I've got a habit of breaking everything when I do that. Oh, there's the other rat button there. Steve, hello. We all remember what happened last time. We caused Just Flight to have to code in an extra click spot. Still feel bad about that. But I guess I can say I helped improve an aeroplane. Yeah, it would have to be CVTU, wouldn't it, Doc, for it to be a real one? But it did. It slowed the 146 down a heck of a lot, didn't it? And we couldn't climb, and we burnt tons of extra fuel. We barely made it to Vega. That was a funny stream. I vowed to never do it again. I think we even went through the thing of if we do a barrel roll and hold it with the wings upside down, will the gear tip back in again because gravity? That's the level of depth we went into to try and get it back in flight. Could it do Skiathos? I wonder if it could. I'd have to look at performance data. It probably could. Yeah, getting back out would be tough for Skiathos, wouldn't it? But I think it would still be able to do it, because the engines are quite powerful on this. You'd have to hold the brakes, set 40%, hold the brakes, and then hit Toga, and then as the engines are kind of spooling up past 65-70%, that's probably when you've got to release the brakes. But you would probably end up using flat 15-20 as well, I reckon. Is that click spot again? So we need to resync the heading bug. The little blue line is our heading bug. So we click up like that and it zips to 151 like that. And also, I didn't mention this in my tutorials actually, but instead of, if you don't have a keybind for the go switch, and instead of you guys having to look down for these two, I can't really see it there, they're the go switches there. So instead of you having to try and find them and click them and all the rest of it, you can just click that button there. That's Toga. Which means you can sit in your flight deck, ready for takeoff like that, looking forwards, set your 40%, and then you can just, with the mouse, press that button for Toga, and that's the same click spot there for it, which is quite a cool little feature. Have I found the gravity release, David? I have, yes. What gave it away? I'd be very tempted to try Skiathos in this. I don't know what the performance limits of the aircraft are for it, actually. I'm sure one of you guys watching could probably find out while we're flying along. I'm just going to dig into the charts for Skiathos. Alexandros Papadiamandis. Maximum wingspan of 60 feet for Taxiway Sierra. Taxiway Alpha 3 can accommodate up to ICAO code Charlie letter aircraft with maximum span 36 metres markings availables. There's no like that's the only kind of thing I can see. So then it's a question of whether or not your aircraft can stop in 1,500 metres, and then can it take off in 1,500 metres is the next question. I reckon it might just about fit. Ooh, we've got Corfu approach online. Expect RNAV approach, arrival runway 34, departure runway 34, transition level 60, winds 030 degrees at 2 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers, drizzle, few cloud 1,500, scattered 3,000, broken 8,000, 10 degrees Celsius, dew point 6, QNH 1018. So QNH 1018, 030 at 2, and it's info alpha. Afternoon, Badger. Mr. Season, it does. Well, it's flight path vector, but you can also select FPA there to set 3 degrees. Daniel, nice. You're back then. Just in time for that sun to set. Look at that. Let's see if we can get some arty-farty kind of angle here. Probably not. No, we're flying too far south. That's absolutely stunning. Making our way. We're almost there. In relaxed, G-relaxed. You notice the strobes are a lot more pronounced in this now as well, since the latest little update the other day. Try and get a little snazzy screenshot, I think, with that background. Michael, do I have enhanced coastline installed? No, I've not heard of that one. To be fair, I don't know what that is. That's just default. Is that the add-on that just changes the masking colours that people were on about the other day? Stunning, isn't it, Goop? Neil, for me the 737 has always been the best performing aircraft I've ever had installed on my old computer and my new one. Oh, Daniel, fantastic. Go for it. Throw everything you can at it. If I didn't have so many commitments in life now, then I would have probably have continued with the BA Speedbird Academy without pulling out. Oh, failed the assessment. Okay. Oh, well, at least you tried. Oh, Doc, that's good. Winds are calm. A beautiful evening arrival into Corfu. Ionis Capdistrias. Top of descent in 160 miles, and then we've got we know we've got Corfu approach 122355, 122355. So that's set ready. Yeah, fair enough, Daniel. Yeah, I think you're very much like me. You're at a point where life kind of takes over, doesn't it? That's the thing. Part of me was in. It was painful telling the flying school that I wanted to withdraw from the process. Having got through all of the BA Speedbird Academy assessments, I'd been handed over to the flying school. It's not signature. I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I have to look at my emails. When was it? Back in October, wasn't it? Because I was on holiday at the time. Do. September, it was October actually, wasn't it? So if I skip forwards further, yeah, I did really well. I'd got to like top 60 odd thousand, and then I've managed to get down to the last like 1,000. There you go, Skyborn Academy. Skyborn. So that's who I'd been tranched off to. I'd been handed over to Skyborn for the assessments, and then yeah, I just worked out I'd have to sell my house, and it's just not worth. It's not worth it. So especially to take a pay cut, because pilots are paid really bad money these days when you're new. So I just thought it is what it is. I'll bow out gracefully and let someone in a better position take that spot that I was fighting for. But Tinchy, hello. It's just before Limja, although that then makes me wonder. Just have a quick check of my charts here. Pitas 4,500. I think that's too high. Yeah, that's too high. Hold on. At or above flight level 110. At or above 4,000. This hasn't changed it. It's at or above BedX. I'm just digging into the charts here. So I'm going to say BedX at 4,000. It wants me at 7,000 feet there. So let's change that to at. No. Declan, Wolverhampton, welcome. I'll set that one to at instead. It's closer to the airport than I would be comfortable with though, Doc. Or is it in mode? Econ Cruise. Doesn't let you go to the next one, does it? Yeah, so we'll start our descent soon anyway. What's that runway length that we were talking about a moment ago? Let me find it. We'll sort it out. 2373, so take another 100 or so off. We're looking at 2,150 metres usable runway length. So that's going into the smaller echelons of runway lengths. So for that we'll select medium auto brake for this, which will be the first time using this actually with medium auto brakes. It'll be quite interesting. And Goob, yeah. So what we do on the tiller disconnect, I turn it off when we line up on the runway for takeoff, and then I leave it off throughout the entire flight until after touchdown. Doc, no, it's just in the descent forecast page there. It's just winds. I think when we move to the next phase, then it will deal with that a little bit better. 26 PTAS 2 Juliet, 38.8 nautical miles to the initial approach fix. 23 DMA arc down to 4,500. Delta 261 Whiskey. Look at that descent at 320 knots. Swoosh! That's fast. In fact, if I change that one to... We're just having a little tinker now, folks. At or above flight level 110, so we'll go for 10,000 feet. And we'll select 280. So I'm going to see how much of this I can actually physically change. PTAS. I'm going to say PTAS at 110. And that's just massively changed our top of descent. Because I want to be at PTAS. I remember when we speak to approach, usually flying into Corfu, we want to be at around 11,000 feet at PTAS. So we'll run with that and we'll just see how we go. And if we end up with a slightly higher altitude for the descent in, then what we can do is just amend that using vertical speed mode and just soften out the descent. Kukira 1147. Which should auto-tune anyway. We've got no ILS, and the Goritza VOR, shouldn't worry about that one too much either. Not applicable to this arrival. Landing elevation is 6 feet, so we'll round that down to 0, like so. Alright, we're ready for it. 770. Looks like we've got absolutely spectacular conditions for the arrival. Sun's about to go down, so it's going to go dark, and Yeah, I think it'll be the first time flying into Corfu in darkness as well, actually. Very exciting. Hope you guys are enjoying this Osprey Airways flight. 40 miles to top of descent. We could probably start turning the displays down a little bit as well. To match the conditions outside, so we're not getting dazzled by our own instruments. Have they fixed this? Oh yes, they have. I love that CRT dimming. Look how good that is. And then down here we've got the little knobs there for us to turn these displays down as well. The CRT's in the middle. You scroll them too much, they actually end up turning off. It's worth keeping an eye on that. Weather radar's on 3° down tilt. Bailey, welcome. Best time, isn't it, Does too. Look at those conditions. And then if we drop out into the flight, into the cabin, yeah, I don't think we get much in the way of cabin lights, do we? It's probably still a bit too light for us to see them. But yeah, as Steve's saying, they don't really work that well on the outside. 40 miles to top of descent. We've made some cracking progress today. It's been a really good flight. Very gentle headwind. Cruising at Mach 8.2. So, as we briefed earlier on, the RNAV arrival in one of these. We've already done the takeoff and approach page. We put the MDA in there, having already inserted the star and the approach into the FMS. So we do that first, then we go into the takeoff and approach page. We've typed in the MDA. And what that's then given us, because of this RNAV approach, it's given us final 3° glide slope. If that was any different, we would change it at that point to make sure it's correct. We've got our wind correction set and we're in 30-40 profile. 5° wind correction, and we know then on the arrival that we need to be down at our platform altitude before 5 mile final begins, and that will then allow us to use the profile mode to descend for the arrival basically. But 5 miles, actually, in fairness, are we going to use that? Probably not. Because our platform altitude was in 1,900 feet, wasn't it, I think, from memory, which is pretty low. And at 5 miles, we'll be fully configured. So I don't think we'll worry about that too much. But we can try it, we can test it, just to see how it enters that arrival. And then I'll just turn the autopilot off at 4 or 3 miles, perhaps, instead. So at least then we've tried it out as a bit of a live demo. Okay, bring that in. 20 miles. Info Bravo is the current. Still 3-4, transition level 6-0, winds calm. Still drizzle in the area, QNH 1018. And we've got Corfu approach. Kukira radar 122355. Flight level 273 at Limger apparently, and that's having set PTAS at flight level 110. What's going to be interesting here is if we get a different arrival to what we've got planned, because I know some people have said it's buggered the A300 up a little bit when they've changed arrivals. I hope not. Steve, I think the way I understand the logo light, I think it's over 180 knots. The logo lights in the Airbus go off, I think. Something like that, from memory. Can't 100% remember, but I think that is the case. Something similar to that anyway. Right. We'll initially set 11.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, turn final.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, Roger, I have cleared for return to go. Report airport.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, repeat that please.
Report airport.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, Corfu.
So at 10 miles, we're going to close in on that pretty quick. What we can do is just press down. We're in profile descent anyway. Oops. And we begin our descent fairly strongly, actually. That's a strong entry into the descent. Look at the speed chasing up there. That's too strong. Let's intervene. It doesn't like this. We're going to go for 2200 foot per minute. The aeroplane's just gently coming back to what we've set, and that speed should now stabilise. Yeah, it did. It was instant, wasn't it? It was like instantly saying we're above profile, even though we'd started the arrival before top of descent. So something's bugged out there a little bit. It might be because we were tinkering with all those altitude constraints, but it shouldn't snap and go, well, actually, I've changed my mind, all of a sudden we're above profile. I'll just see what happens with the speed here. Oops. 280. We probably will need some speed brake at some point. Yeah, it's miscalculated something, hasn't it? Let's give it a little bit of speed brake.
Report down.
But yeah, it wants to achieve 320 knots eventually, but we're not going to let it dock. But at the same time, what we're actually discussing is the fact that we were below the profile initially, we were on profile. The second we've then tried to intercept the top of descent early to smooth it out, it's then gone, oh, we're below profile, we're above profile, and then it's tried to then push the nose down. But we can manage this. 2600 foot per minute, 80 miles to go, so a little early in calling approach.
AGN 281, can you radar, do you copy?
AGN 281, copy.
AGN 281, you are re-cleared via Mallet 1 kilo departure, runway 16. I say again, Mallet 1 kilo 16.
Let me turn him down a bit.
1 kilo 16,
it's a bit better.
Agent 281.
Kukira approach, that's what we're going to say. And then I might throw in a Kalispera.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, report intention.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot is downwind.
He's asking
Roger, is this
for
a touch and
intention.
go or a full stop?
So that's a
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, sorry, yeah, it's for touch and go, sorry, my bad.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, Roger, wind calm, runway 34, clear touch and go. Report airport.
so down we go.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot will report airport and runway 34, clear touch and go.
Currently
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, negative, report
over Albanian
airport
airspace
after departure.
at the minute,
Report airborne,
over the city of
sorry,
Vlora.
Airport, Golf Alpha Foxtrot, roger.
Corfu nestled right at the very bottom of Albanian airspace as it joins Greek territory. But look at that. How spectacular.
Radar Osprey
Oh!
Sierra, inbound to Pitas, information Bravo on board.
Osprey 88
Oh, it's tinched your head.
Sierra, Kekira, Skok 7450.
Squawk 7450, Osprey 88 Sierra.
Look at that. What a beautiful part of the world to fly around, eh? Absolutely mega.
Osprey 88 Tango Sierra, radar contact, proceed direct PEDEX, descent flight level 90, expect RNAV, runway 34.
Descend level
90, expect RNAV.
Okay,
And
let's call up.
Direct to, please.
Osprey 83 Tango Sierra,
Let me
direct
turn these
BEDEX, Bravo,
down a
Echo,
little bit more.
Delta, Echo, X-ray.
Direct BEDEX. Descend to flight level 90. Expect RNAV 34 arrival.
Okay, into icing, or into clouds. We'll put the icing conditions on, or the icing lights, so we'll put the wing on. Gokira approach, Kalispera, Osprey 116 Alpha with information Bravo, Airbus A300, inbound PTAS, 31 track miles to the north.
Osprey 116 Alpha, Kirkira radar contact, then right heading 180, descent flight level 130, vectoring RNAV runway 34.
Turn right 180, descend flight level 130, vectors the RNAV 34, Osprey 116 Alpha. Hey, vectors! This is exciting. Wow. Big cheese in the chat, folks. Welcome to Airliners Live and their Simulate channel. Great to have you with us. Hope you're well. Was it you guys at Manchester earlier on in real life? I was flashing the runway turn-off lights for you all. If only Osprey was a real airline. Look at that. Magical.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot is airborne.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot due to traffic.
And look at that.
Cleared right downwind runway 34. Report downwind.
Cleared right downwind.
Absolutely spectacular, isn't it, this? The sim is just brilliant. And it's good to see they've sorted out the strobe lights now, because they were a little weak in the previous version. Wow, they've hit 1 million subscribers, have they, Doc?
Osprey 88 Tango Sierra.
Congratulations, Airliners Live.
4,000 feet. Units 101.
That's huge.
Send level 4000, QNH 1018.
That's a real good solid effort, that. I bet it's mad to think you've got 1 million fans around the world. It's quite cool.
281, pushing start approved, face north.
Push to start approved, face north, agent 281.
A little bit of the floodlights on just to help. Pop the speed brake out again. The old barn door speed brake there. Look at that.
Osprey 116 Alpha, then left heading 170, descent flight level 90.
Left 170, descend flight level 90, Osprey 116 Alpha.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot is downwind on the right hand side.
We'll keep that speed coming down. We'll select, I'll set it to 240 for now, and then we'll make use of the speed brake properly.
Golf Foxtrot, Roger, runway 34, clear touch and go, wind calm, report downwind.
Set 2,200 foot per minute descent. Look at that. So good.
Osprey 116 Alpha, descent flight level 70.
Descent flight level 70, Osprey 16 Alpha. Right, let's get rid of the music. It's time for the big bit of work. So now we've gone through 250 knots, that's good. Nearing to 10,000 feet. And it is always a bit of a steep descent here anyway, so you find that we end up managing the energy with speed brake a fair bit. The cabin sound, well, the flight deck sounds now are so good.
116 Alpha, proceed direct.
proceed direct FedEx Osprey 116 Alpha. Insert, it's a straight line, nav. Go direct to. This is where the brightness knobs, you've got to know where they are because
Is airborne on my right or left downwind?
it can get quite disorientated quite quickly, certainly when you go into a big dark cloud. Oh my god!
Out there, what is it again?
Where's the sun gone? They are some moody clouds, Dirty 2.
Report downwind.
Osprey 88 Tango Sierra via FedEx, clear RNAV and report.
Osprey 88 Tango Sierra via FedEx, cleared to approach.
Jeez.
RNAV 34.
Osprey 1
I think he broke for them. Was that me?
Osprey 6 Alpha, descend 5,000 feet, QNH 1018.
Descend 5,000 QNH 1018, Osprey 16 Alpha. So, local pressure 1018. That's set.
Foxtrot downwind for
Blue, welcome mate.
right hand side.
Oh, look at that. Straight back out through that cloud. And there's the wonderful island of Corfu. Got one on final ahead. That's the another Osprey. In fact, this is... yes, this is Corfu. And the airport is down there somewhere, just underneath that bit of cloud. Can't quite see it, but we've got the port down there, and then the airport is just over there. In fact, it will be smack bang in the middle of our screen there somewhere. Yeah, how good does that look? And we go to just a couple of wing views here. That's mega, isn't it? The sounds are so much better. Yeah, Greek ATC, Hellenic, the Hellenic team on Vatsim are fantastic. Very accommodating, very friendly, very professional. Yeah, one of my favourite places to go and fly around in Vatsim. Bedek in 20 something miles. Let's just smooth this out. So we'll go to 500 foot per minute, that'll do. Rumelin, this is Fly Tampa's Corfu scenery. Turn that tablet down.
Cleared for touch and go, runway 34, didn't hit all the next platform, sorry.
Settings. So we need that rudder controls tiller option ready.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot. Does it have
speed brake is away.
We'll report downwind.
Yeah, because that chap's doing, whoever it is doing circuits, they basically they get sidelined for ATC because of all of the IFR traffic that's inbound. So VFR always is secondary to VFR to IFR.
Descent flight level 130, expect RNAV runway 341.
Roger, we'll expect the RNAV, descent to flight level 130 and direct FedEx 1X55.
It does, doesn't it, Blue? Looks rather good. Oh, look at that.
Agent 281, ready for taxi. Taxi holding point, Alpha 3 via Alpha.
Yeah, I'll drop down to 220 knots now. We've got one ahead.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, turn right downwind because of traffic. I'd like to make a flight on runway 0, on 26 heading to go the local VFR flight and come back when there's no traffic.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, approved. Squawk, standby.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, sorry, approved. What was the squawk, sorry?
Golf Alpha Foxtrot 1727.
1727 Golf Alpha Foxtrot.
There's Golf Alpha Foxtrot there. You can see the little green light. He's flying circuits, but he's heading off now to the local area to get us sequenced in. What do we got then? Lights. I'll pop the dome light on very briefly here. Lights and signs sets. Continuous relight set.
Thank you. Maintain 3000
All ready.
below.
And then we've got anti-ice on still for now. Probably turn it off actually at this point. We'll see how we go. So I'll pop your readability 2 quite crackly. I think it was descend 4000 for Osprey 116 Alpha. Cricket approach Osprey 116 Alpha. Was it descend 4000 and then at BedX cleared RNAV for 3-4? We'll go report runway in sight, Osprey 116 Alpha. So nav 4000, and now it's on us to continue the descent. So we've got 116 Alpha, 5 BedX cleared, RNAV 3-4, runway in sight, port runway in sight. So
clear to agent 281, but you were coming in correctly before, but you're sounding okay.
yeah, that's a lot better now.
CN281 Roger, runway 16, clear for wind call.
Runway 16, clear for takeoff, agent 281.
So let's get slats extended to 15, takes a little while.
Mark 5528, descent flight left 9.
I've got the charts ready.
Monarch 5528.
So QNH heading, auto brake. Trophy neck, hold on. There we go, that's good. And yeah, speed brake is now set. Slats 15, let's bring the speed to 180.
It's on the west of the island. I'll be making some orbits at the Osprey.
215 through 215 allows us extension to flap 15. Let's set that. I'm not sure what to expect now, it's so dark, isn't it?
Foxtrot, continue, and I'll tell you when runway's in sight.
3029, isn't it? So
message me, please.
Let's use level change because it will hold 180 then. Sorry about that, flicking through the various modes. Continuous relight, seatbelt signs, no smoke signs, landing lights extended. We're going to do a quick recall. Park brakes off, rudder trim is set. Reset 0 and.
Foxtrot's orbiting to the right on the west side of the island.
But we go flaps 20 at this speed as well. So let's extend flap 20. So the key here is trying to configure early because we've got quite a tough arrival coming in next. And we're going to put that RNAV system to the test. Provided we've got it all configured correctly. That's
Foxtrot, maintain own separation from traffic, number 3 behind traffic joint base, runway 34 on report final.
Oh, hold, next altitude's ready, it's 217.
Readability 2 for agent 281, I believe, but I believe you said climb flight level 130, just to confirm.
Got one there, orbiting. Sorry, was it one there? One on final.
Climb flight level 130, agent 281.
Oh, he's reverting to text here. I think he's got internet problems. And I need to turn this off so we can actually see outside a bit better. So we're going dark. So 2,900, max speed at 185 at Kukira 601. Our platform altitude is now set at 1,700. And with visual with the lights there of that aircraft, which I think might be the VFR chap.
Foxtrot is now following behind the number 2 aircraft.
The chuffing heck just happened. That's super weird. What the? Let's set 340 ready.
Descent to 4,000, Monarch 2552A, QNH1018.
I don't know what happened there. That's really weird. It's all of a sudden it snapped to like midday. I wonder if the MSFS servers are having a bit of a problem. There was a glitch in the matrix. Okay, let's go down to 1,700. Zato's just had the same. 160.
Clear up runway. Osprey 88 Tango Sierra, taxi gate 2.
Almost burnt my eyes out.
Gate 2, taxi gate 2.
Right, so we have to be level at our platform altitude before our final approach fix, which is coming up. I'm going to get gear down early because I want drag. Drag is good. And through 160 knots we can go to full flaps. So now we're going to get configured really early. And here we go. What an arrival. Cloud over the cloud over the runway at the moment, though.
Athena 129.675, Agent 281, good night.
Interesting. Kind of doing some weirdness here with the speed. Get down 3 green. Flaps 30-40 set. Hold.
Osprey 116 Alpha, runway 34, clear to land. Wind call.
Just visual now, and yeah, 3-4 cleared land, Osprey 116 Alpha. Okay, so profile mode isn't activating. Anyway, 138.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot was turning final runway in visual and number 3.
Yeah, so that doesn't work.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot to route number 2, continue approach.
Number 2, continue
Right,
approach.
autopilot off. And my throttles as well, why not? We'll use flight path vector, because otherwise the flight director is going to be quite strange for us to look at. There's the offset RNAV. Just a couple of 100 foot per minute. We'll hand fly the whole thing. Let that speed trickle away.
Monarch 22, correction, Monarch 5528 via Petex, cleared RNAV runway 34, reported on site.
Right after FedEx cleared RNAV approach 0.
It's not actually, it's quite an offset approach, isn't it?
And Monarch 5528, confirm the call I sent you via text, descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1018.
Toga mode's not armed itself there, so it's not quite recognised that we're in the profile or the arrival phase for some reason. So we'll just I'll just notice that. Change the limiting mode of the TRP there accordingly. Just scrubbing off the descent as well, just for a minute at 138. So we're holding our speed nicely, but I'm just holding a level because I want to make sure we're on profile. I got a little distracted with that limiting mode issue. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's our minimums, so we'll continue. Got 2 red, 2 white on the Pappies. Vega, final approach doesn't appear in the MCDU in this. It's replaced with final approach, which is that. Although now that's working. So I don't think I clicked profile mode. Thought I'd click that bit, but oh well, gives us an opportunity to hand fly. Sorting out the speed. Into rain actually now as well, and cloud. Look at this. What an arrival. Gotta wait for the engines to spool up a little bit here.
Expect late landing clearance. Expect late landing clearance, go Papa Foxtrot.
Looking ahead. There's the flare. Holding it. And reverse, letting the nose wheel come down gently. There we go. And decelerating. Look how soft that looked. And we still got 375 foot per minute. We can vacate here, I think. No, we can't, because the nose wheel tiller thingy hasn't. So it's the most frustrating thing now is this rudder controls tiller set to no, and auto tiller disconnect. Not really working well for us, annoyingly. So you have to then toggle that to yes to get your nose.
Very, very short final.
Nose wheel steering.
Papa Foxtrot, go around.
Go Papa Foxtrot, go around.
Rightio. Okay, let's get the flaps up. Speed brake retracted. Looking up. Fire up the APU, the ignition mode selector off. And Osprey 116 Alpha has vacated Alpha 2.
Osprey 116 Alpha,
Old school.
taxi stand 7.
Taxi stand 7, Osprey 116 Alpha, thanks.
Go Papa Foxtrot, it's only right crosswind.
Oh,
Go Papa Foxtrot,
did you say stand 7?
Left downwind runway 34.
I don't seem to have that.
Go Papa Foxtrot, I'm already on the right downwind. I will report. So could it be a full stop?
Put the transponder onto standby. 375 foot per minute. And look at that, bang on. Just before the touchdown zone, it's short runway, so you want to make use of it. No bounce. Heavy landing though, 1.44G. It looked a lot smoother than that, didn't it? And brake fan.
Go Papa Foxtrot, late downwind.
Which we need to pop on.
Sorry, full stop.
Which is over there.
Final.
Brake fans shown hot. They go on.
Go Papa Foxtrot, rudder wind
Clear
call,
that.
runway 34, clear to land. Vacate via Golf.
Runway 34, clear to land. And sorry, what's the last one?
Go Papa Foxtrot, vacate via taxiway Golf.
Vacate via taxiway Golf, go Papa Foxtrot. Roger.
And Osprey 116 Alpha don't seem to have stand 7. Can I take stand 6, please?
Osprey 116 Alpha FM, taxi stand 6.
We'll go, thank you. Crikey. I mean, we have 7, but for some reason it's not in the GSX profile, and this is the one that you can download on the iniBuilds website, which is a bit weird.
And Monarch 5528, we have the field in sight.
5528, roger, continue approach, wind call.
Yeah, odd, because
Continue
the
approach,
touchdown
Monarch
seemed
558.
incredibly soft. Actually quite nice, with a nice flare and a nice sit down on the runway, but didn't seem to work. And yeah, that takeoff and approach button that I had set a minute ago didn't seem to get that quite right, did I?
Can I vacate Alpha 1?
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, FM, hold short Alpha.
Foxtrot Alpha and vacate Alpha 1.
What did I select? GSX just broke. Oh, QATL's just crashed on me. It's all going on. Clear that master caution.
Runway vacated.
Golf Foxtrot taxi stand Sierra 3 via Alpha.
Might have to park ourselves, folks.
Sierra 3 via Alpha, Golf Foxtrot.
There we go. Handling by Gold Air. Ta-da!
Runway 4, clear to land.
24, clear to land, Monarch 553.
Do love the ambience noise in this now. Can't go any further to them. Get off your neck. David says GSX has been flaky for him recently. Yeah, I've noticed an increase in issues. They've all been very minor issues, but yeah, you can't help but notice a few random bits. First time I've had to use brake fan as well.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot, taxi on the next right, please.
Golf Foxtrot taxi stand of choice.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot taxi stand.
Come on, plane. A bit more ground resistance here, it seems. Ooh, and then all of a sudden acceleration. Here we go. Just ever so slightly on the brakes, just to bring that speed right down to like 1 knot. And I'm waiting for that brakes on indication. And stop now. Okay, brakes on, and APU is available. Bleed, cross bleed. That's all good. That's all set. Part brake is on. Engine 2 and engine 1 cut off.
Golf Alpha Foxtrot shutting down taxi service.
Hey, very good parking. We've not had Gangnam Style for a while. Ah, they're not doing it. Boo. Beacon lights. Is it weight balance? No, it's not. It's in that ground equipment. Crew are disarming the doors. And now we can disembark.
Charlie, we have the view inside.
Request deboarding.
Telecom Charlie, number 2, continue approach with call. Number 2, continue approach, F1 Charlie.
Interesting. Doors 4 right has remained armed. DA204, welcome. And thank you again to It's Common Sense Gaming for gifting another channel membership. Very exciting. But here we are at Corfu's Ionis Kapodistrias International Airport for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's just change the time very quickly. Mind your eyes, folks. We can watch a couple of these landings at least. Oh, it's the Monarch. Quick, he says. Look at that. What a stunning livery that was.
Passenger's bus is coming.
It's obviously rendering the iniBuilds A300 for us. It's not designed to be an AI aircraft. So we're not going to see all the animations, like flaps and things, but look at that.
Roger, F1 Charlie.
Yeah, Corfu will be fine. Yeah, I loved that livery when I was a kid growing up, seeing that. Although I preferred Britannia, we're more of a Britannia Airways holiday kind of family. Oh, look at that. That's the ship in port over there with this little steam coming out the chimney. The Flight Tampa Corfu is a beautiful bit of scenery, I've got to say. And then, yeah, look at that. For an ambience.
Monarch 5528, vacating.
Monarch 5528, taxi stand 7.
Stand 7, Monarch 5528.
Oh, you're in the TBM anything RC, good stuff. Well, I think you said you were in the C130, didn't you? Can't remember. Dziki and Joros, yes, absolutely. And Revifia, which is spectacular as well. Got little coaches. Look at that for a screenshot, here we go. Yes. Oh, we're boarding through 3 stairs. Look at that. Fantastic. In fact, the lights on those steps look brilliant as well, don't they? Oh, he's parking there. Let me turn this down a little bit because I think I've got this too up. What a livery. Spectacular, isn't it? Look at that. We'll fly that, I think, at some point, maybe next week. We'll find ourselves doing just continuous A300 content probably next week as well, again, which I know not everybody's a fan of. Look at that triple whammy boarding for the first time ever on GSX. I've not seen that before in an aircraft, I don't think either. For some disembarkation. Incredible. One more on final, our last pilot in. Let's watch his touchdown. We'll go this side this time. There's that windsock, look, wind's calm. What a view. It's the Jet2 Holidays A321. Ah, fair enough. That hotel over there in the scenery has got Borat in the pool, by the way, in a mankini. Those of you who aren't familiar with it. Good little touchdown there. And that A321 Neo. Nice little screenshot there as well. Look at that.
5538 shutting down for the night. Thank you for the EGCC.
There we go, folks. Massive thank you to everyone who's tuned in. I hope you've enjoyed the flight today, and a big thank you to our air traffic controllers as well. And this wonderful sim looking fantastic. It's been a while since we've flown into Corfu. It is a favourite. We do it a lot, but look at that for some spectacular views. I hope you guys have all enjoyed it as well. Thank you to It's Common Sense Gaming for 2 gifted channel memberships, and 3 days ago Steve for purchasing a channel t-shirt, I think it was, one of our channel merchandise t-shirts, I believe, the hard landing or the rough landing design on it, so big thank you to him as well. I forgot to mention at the start of the stream today. Enjoy the rest of the week ahead, folks. We'll be looking at what we can do over the next few days into next week, where we've got most definitely on Saturday Cross Africa big event, which is going to be great, and for that I've booked for us to fly in the A300. Oh, you know what we've got to do? We've got to check New Sky. Getting all carried away with myself. Let's turn to night mode because it looks good. We'll close the flight and we'll see what score we got. Wow, look at that profit, 68,315. And yeah, a bit of a firm touchdown. It reckons 1.56G, but I'm pretty sure we did fairly smooth for touchdown there. 9.35 for the score though, pretty good either way. Happy with that. And yeah, still learning the aeroplane. And we found out how to do the RNAV approach today. It involves me not missing to click something else. Oh, are they really, David? Go Pats. I wonder who they'll pick. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the week ahead. And I will see you guys next week for some more Microsoft Flight Simulator madness. In the meantime, thanks for watching and take care.
Goodbye.